Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ludohistory. As always, we're back with God of War Ragnarok, and that means we are joined by the power of the internet. First, we have Overly Sarcastic Productions joining us once again. Both Red and Blue are here today.
Yeah.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello. We also have our second guest expert on. Each week in this playthrough, we're going to have a different guest on to talk different aspects of Norse religion, mythology, and the associated things. And this week we're joined by Luca Panaro, a PhD candidate at the University of Iceland, specializing not only in Norse mythology, but in how those get adapted into games, and how we teach with those.
Hello, everyone. Good to be back.
Yes, Luca, for long-time viewers of the channel, mainly longer than about 6 months, Luca was our co-host for this channel's specific playthrough of God of War 2018, so welcome back. Also, yeah, as Oscar Wilde points out, OSP, congratulations on, very soon, 10 years of the channel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting little
Congrats,
stretch of time
guys.
this fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean,
Impressive.
as is appropriate, well, I knew you guys before I knew about the channel. My first video was the Poetic Edda one.
Hey.
I think your roommate was the one who showed that to me because I have a brand.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Just like shows up with a manila folder. You gotta see this.
You're gonna want to look at this.
Wasn't even a joke. That is almost exactly what happened, except it was Messenger instead of a manila folder.
Yeah.
Oh, that was nice of her.
Such as the times.
Yeah.
It's great. But yes, welcome to everyone who is filtering in. Oh yeah, I was going to do something. Let me set up this poll. Because I just want to check, how much background in Norse mythology, do folks actually have? Because that tells us how much we need to explain.
Are we talking about us or people in chat?
In chat. I just need to set up the poll here on Twitch's end.
Ooh.
What's a Ragnarok?
Exactly.
Explain, please.
And we'll just let that run for the next conceivable future, and we'll just keep an eye on that. Oh, and also to everyone who is coming in following, I will not have time to thank all of you, but there will be credits at the end. But I do see you all, and I appreciate everyone stopping by. Alright, let's get back into this. Doesn't have anything to do with Egyptian mythology. Good answer, Billy Warren. Good
Billy,
answer.
get out of here.
Billy.
Expert in the count of living there, math. I mean, look, according to Reddit, that's how this works. I have never met anyone more angry about Norse mythology than Danes who are convinced that living there is enough to know about Norse mythology.
Oh boy, this is getting
Oh,
spicy.
yeah.
Look, there's a copy pasta somewhere deep in my server of a comment I got on Reddit about, about how obviously he's defending his ancestors' honor because they're so buff and cool and stuff, and I don't know what I'm talking about despite demonstrable expertise and a graduate degree in the field.
Oh boy.
Yeah, clearly.
Let me.
You don't have the
find
genetic
this
memories to back up your argument.
True. Let me find it because it's so funny. I've got to share
Oh
it.
no. You know, I
The
always
rules of
knew that
Assassin's Creed.
like it's just a known fact when you're researching Norse mythology that you're gonna need to like wade through this weird morass of like nationalism and you know, neo-fascists just kind of like being like, oh, the Vikings, they knew what power was all about, and you know, back when men were men, stuff like that, and it's like, whenever you're researching it, you're like, okay, is this website okay, or is it no? Oh, wait, were the emojis included?
No, I added the emojis.
Okay.
But the typos were real.
Oh boy,
Of
can I
course.
dramatically read it? I really want to.
Do it.
I definitely admire Vikings and Norse culture. Why wouldn't you? Values of Old Norse are key to success to even this day. They founded democracy under the name the All Thing. They went raiding, yes, but they were always loyal to their own people. Besides, Vikings never existed. Only Norse who went a Vikinger. Vikinger is going on adventure or odyssey. It can be raiding. It can be discovering Iceland, Greenland, and Vinland. It can also be someone who's greedy for
Oh.
Where's the rest of it?
It cut it off. Tragic.
No!
It continues for a very long time.
Aw.
It is pinned on the Discord's historical memes channel if you want to experience the whole thing.
Oh boy!
Oh
All
my
right,
God.
I gotta find this.
Let me well here. I'll just drop the whole thing in our group message.
Please,
for
I'm
you, 'cause
desperately curious.
It's so funny. It just keeps going. It's by the way, it's also someone who can be greedy for power, and making their name for themselves, and it's so long. It's
Oh, there
so
it is.
long.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it goes for so long.
It's
You're right.
so long.
Where is it?
It's pinned in historical memes in the Discord.
There you go.
Oh God!
There you go. It just doesn't
No.
stop.
Oh, it's so much.
Oh boy! It can also be someone who's greedy for power and making a name for himself and making his ancestors proud. Why shouldn't we admire them? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Old Norse were probably the nicest to their slaves throughout history, at least most of the time, letting them eat with the family, building for Christian thralls. Besides, you make it sound as if they were any different slave-wise. If anything, they were different in a positive way, but they were individuals and never killed people in the name of their religion. I'm sorry, do they not know who Odin was?
I got nothing.
Unlike how Christians slaughtered and killed Norse for being pagan, they should be admired as they sewed the world together after the Roman Empire fell. They went to America as the first Europeans. They went to Asia, Africa, Russia, Central Europe, and a big part of why they won so often was because they were so skilled. Glima was a thing? Viking martial arts? Be careful mixing it with competitive Glima. They were elite warriors and deserved that title. Best shipbuilders and needed no objects to pray. Do they not know what runestones are? And their church was nature. Either way, Anglo-Saxons stole the land from the Celts, and Norse stole their land with even more power. Christians despised Norsemen. The English pastors described them as barbarians, while the women described them as handsome, well-groomed, and clean people, washing thoroughly once a week, and a quick was every morning and evening. Sincerely, a Scandinavian protecting his ancestors' honor. Wow, there's a lot there.
Wow.
There's so much to unpack there, and we're just not going to do that.
Good lord.
That's gonna have to be a separate stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Reddit. That was a Danish person on Reddit. So
Oh my god.
truly the most time.
I can't believe the culture that gets adhered to by white nationalists so much has people very aggressively defending their heritage there. That's just such a weird connection to, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense, right?
That
Exactly.
boy needs to go build some Legos.
The
Maybe it'd
slavery
be more
part
well
started
adjusted if you
happening-
built a boat.
Yup, Lizard, the slavery part started and you just shrieked. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I read it and when I first read it, it took me fully 5 minutes before I could breathe again.
The Vikings never killed people for their religious beliefs.
Never.
They killed
Never.
people for existing.
Don't look up what a berserker was.
Definitely don't look that up. Also, the graveyards in Repton where they desecrated the Christian church, that was the seat of the kings of Mercia, and started having Norse-style burials there specifically as a response to Christianity, probably, maybe?
That's a statistical outlier and should not be counted.
I'm sure they were just raiding all those monasteries because the sight of pointed roofs really set them off. That's
Exactly.
probably why.
Yeah.
Truly.
Oh boy. I should have done that in the Shadow the Hedgehog voice. I'm sorry. I just couldn't
Speaking
believe
of-
what I was seeing. That's
Let me try to make the most tactful segue possible. Speaking of killing let's start God of War. How about we?
Let's start God of War because
Yes,
lots of
good.
violence. Yes. Also,
killing.
now you guys can actually see other people on camera. So everyone, you can now actually see Luca's lovely face here. By the way,
Woohoo!
Luca, do you want to actually introduce what you do? Because we got distracted immediately by copy pastas.
Sorry, my fault.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine.
Honestly, it was extremely on brand for us.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was gold, especially the dramatic reading.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you for that. So yeah, like Adam said when he introduced me, I study not only Old Norse myth and culture, but specifically their reception in video games is what I'm focusing with my PhD research on. So I'm especially interested in kind of the transfer of motifs and specific illusions and how those manifest in various games, and I'm really fascinated by this explosion in the popularity of Vikings over the past 10 or so years. So of course there's now plenty of games for me to dig into in my research. So it's been fun.
Very
Amazing.
cool.
And if I saw it, remember recently you actually got to bring it into the classroom and actually teach some folks. Was that you with God of War 2018, or was that with this one?
That was God of War 2018, but then, of course, just the other week, this game released. So in this last class, this past Wednesday, the last class of the semester, I did show my students a bit of this game, especially I was looking, to speak of Reddit again, I was looking at, because we were focusing on some of these problematic white supremacist and misogynist associations that won't stay dead and keep coming back. So when they used FaceApp, some scumlord used FaceApp to make Angrboda white and blonde, and so we were looking at that and some of the Reddit comments. But then we actually went into the game and enjoyed it a little bit together as a class. So, but that was a really fun opportunity.
Awesome. That's real nasty. Because anyone, chat, who doesn't know, while we will not get to meet Angrboda this stream, Angrboda is a person of color in the lore of this game, and it is great, and we love that for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
We love that for the game, we love that for her. Alright, now, first though, we get to actually play as our boy Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Still
Because
figuring out what exactly being Loki means.
we have no idea, we still have no idea. But last stream we busted Tyr out of jail,
Oh.
which was very nice. He was in Svartalfheim, in jail, and he is a pacifist?
Interesting choice for the guy whose rune means war.
A
Exactly.
two-handed pacifist, we
Oh.
should add. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I
So,
get the feeling neither of those are going to
something's up.
last too long, but...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crack
trauma.
theory, that's not Tyr, he's just some other guy.
Yeah. A body double placed by
Yeah.
Odin to confuse us.
Exactly.
Just Odin in like a hat.
I really do love that. Like, as we time skip to the start of this game, Atreus is like, I need to know like what Loki's deal is. All I know is that I have this weird innate urge to do crime, and I don't know what that's about or where that's coming from.
I just love wolves and disrespecting authority so much.
Yup.
Oh boy.
Aw.
Sorry, person in
Relatable.
chat. Oh, it's a translation error. He's a pass-a-fist.
Ah.
Oh god.
Philologist in chat.
Exactly. Can't tell if we're being facetious or not. Oh, we are being 98% facetious. It's
Always.
the overly sarcastic part of the overly sarcastic productions gives it away.
Yeah.
We put it right in the title and nobody believes us for some reason.
We put the /S on our channel name.
Well, where exactly is Kratos at this point?
He's talking to Mimir, and was like, get some sleep, we're going to talk more in the morning. And Atreus was like, okay, but what if we sneak out at night instead?
Crime!
So what we got was Kratos was talking to Mimir. He's like, I think that boy is too hung up on this Tyr guy. I think he's gonna end up disappointed by how Tyr was not able to solve every single one of Atreus's problems. And Atreus is like, well, since Tyr couldn't solve every single one of my problems, let's go to Midgard to do more crime.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I just saw Atreus try to punch the chest open.
Yeah.
It
go,
is. It's so good. Instead, he just commits crime to his bow.
That's okay, Atreus.
Yeah.
Puberty will hit eventually.
Oh, wow, I'm on
Maybe
a
you
massive
will be.
delay. Hold on.
Oh boy. I am not
okay.
seeing any drop frames, so...
No, that's just me personally.
Perfect.
Oh, okay.
Accidental magic's not all.
Exactly. Right, we could just unlock the chest. But then we decide to not do that.
Freya knows magic better than anyone. She could help you, but not giant.
The world's strongest bow. Yeah, I know. He whacks everything with this bow now.
A huge
You'll
Exactly.
see.
snake's used
It's
to-
made with a mother's love, so it's unbreakable.
Yes.
Wait, Atreus wants to get Freya's help.
Yes.
Did he Did he miss the part where she hates their guts?
He thinks that he can fast talk his way and it'll be fine.
That
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
very Loki assumption, to be fair.
That's it. He's going for a speech check, charisma
Yep.
check.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sindri is like, okay, but let's talk to the giant snake that we can barely understand first.
Good, yes. I've missed Jormungandr's ASMR voice.
Exactly. we'll get a good chunk of that soon.
It's great, Sindri.
Shoot the barrel.
Exactly.
Blah. How'd the arm of Tyr statue end up
Also,
here? Find a way through, and I'll tell you. I'm on it.
the
It is soundstone, but the path's still blocked.
our fight between Kratos and Thor kind of made a mess of things.
Let me look around.
So there's the arm of
Maybe
Tyr's
I need a
statue
different
is
angle.
just here. Just take it out.
The arm is missing? How interesting.
Exactly. Who could have predicted
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Also, the thing, like, people pointing out, like, Freya hates Kratos, it's like, yeah, but technically Baldur only died because he punched Atreus, and Atreus had the mistletoe arrowhead thingy.
Yeah.
Like, Kratos was kicking the shit out of Baldur, but it wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, a
I'm
little
just
bit.
saying, it is technically Atreus' fault.
Got my back?
Yup, but you know, he was a cute kid, and no one can blame a
I
cute
like
kid.
the way you think. Okay.
Freya's like, I'm not mad that you beat my son up. He was an ass. I'm mad that you killed him.
To be fair, she was also
Yeah.
extremely mad that we beat her son up.
That was kind of a major plot point.
Yeah. That's why she brought that giant back to whack us and
Right.
all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Take this, you dirty pile of rocks.
It is also funny seeing how like these guys that Kratos just like
Not sure he'll recover.
punches through like butter. Like Atreus can whack him around, but it's
He can kill them, it just-
significantly harder.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When Kratos can just like two swing him.
Yeah.
You know, Atreus, I bet this would be a lot easier if you, I don't know, turned into a bear or something.
Probably. But
Can't
then-
do it on command.
I found in my playthrough, I'm obviously a bit ahead, so I won't say anything, but the sections where I played as Atreus, actually, I found that he was way more powerful than Kratos, especially at like CC, so you didn't get overwhelmed or flanked.
Oh yeah. No, he's super. He's actually super good.
Yeah, like the stun arrows are actually insanely overpowered.
Yeah. The Kratos style of combat is kind of just dive into the thick of things and then just start spinning the sharpest object you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit imprecise.
It works.
Oh, the frozen lightning bolt's still in the background of the shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
so cool.
it's super cool.
Kaboom. That is what happens when Kratos and Thor meet each other, and we should all be terrified.
I'm proud of him.
In game design, that's called a weenie. That's true. Look it up.
What?
That's true.
It's
You're
it's
gonna make me
borrowed-
Google game design weenie?
Yeah, you bet. That was my secret plan. No, it comes from Walt Disney Park Design, which is why the castle's in the middle of the park, because you can orient yourself around it. There's a whole Game Maker's Toolkit video about it, but having tall things in the horizon of the world that you can orient yourself around is cool in more linear games because it kind of tells you what you're pointed towards, but also in more open structure games like this, it's very helpful because you're going around a very wide and interconnected world, so knowing in relation to where this giant frozen thunderbolt is actually quite helpful.
Yeah. I've been
Tonight
playing
I
an
have to get
awful lot of Breath of the Wild this week, so I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
We're here.
Mm.
Yep. Also, who wants to meet the big snack?
Me.
Me.
Who definitely shouldn't be here yet because all of our mythological sources are clear that the serpent is Loki's son, and
Look, it's fine.
this kid is not old enough to be a parent.
No, but Jormungandr time traveled
No.
or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think 2018 said that apparently they got into a fight with, like, Thor and Jormungandr got into a fight, and Thor hit Jormungandr so far he went back in time.
Wow, literally punched him into last week. Hey, his eyes are doing something weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not weird.
I think it was like their clash specifically, so like kind of how Kratos and Thor clashing made froze a lightning bolt. Somehow Thor and Jormungandr clashing opened a wormhole.
Hey, he was there the whole time.
He was here the whole
He was under
time.
that suspiciously snake-shaped mountain range.
Exactly. Yeah, also, I like that. Right? Chad's like what's happening to his eyes, and kids just do that sometimes. Did you ever have a
it's just
weird
puberty.
glowy eye magic phase? Come on.
It is funny that Sindri is so scared he is willingly like touching another person.
Yeah.
Also,
Someone who
his
just got
hat
done
is
punching a bunch of
perfect.
zombies. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I feel like somewhere, as soon as the ground started shaking, Kratos' eyes just snapped open. Boy!
Well, theoretically, he's in the realm between realms, which should be dimensionally not connected. But, you know,
My kid's getting up to some shit sense is cross-dimensional.
true.
Right. Yeah.
Oh boy.
He big.
While we're all admiring the snake, can we also admire the chorus? True. We can always admire this game's soundtrack, even
let
though
me
I
unmute.
cannot hear it.
This is my favorite track on the whole game. It's called, I think, The Lullaby of Giants. I don't know what the words mean, but I can sing them back sometimes. It's so good. It's such a good melody.
What is that?
Yeah.
And they conveniently don't provide subtitles for this bit.
That's all you're gonna say?
True. It is like Dory speaking whale.
But yes, as lizards start freaking out in chat, the relevant thing is Ironwood, or in Old Norse, Jaunvidr,
Means we should have stayed home.
which is a bit of an important spot.
Let's head back.
Mm-hmm.
Luca, do you have an introduction? I don't have the right books on hand. Do you have the very brief introduction to Jaunvidr?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I know it's of course the place where Angrboda, this figure who has yet to appear in this game, but was teased in the character reveals for the marketing plan for the game. But it's where Angrboda resides and where the mythological Loki sires the three monstrous children with her, I think. But let me look it up.
Yeah. I know it's also mentioned earlier, because I think there's a few other of the major antagonists in Villispa are said to come from
Now that I know
Jaunvidr.
where she is. Yeah, exactly what I'm gonna do.
Is it the three maidens that start the Aesir Vanir War, potentially, maybe?
Oh yeah, it might be.
There's a lot of stuff that happens out of that pair of that wood for it only being mentioned like 4 times.
Look, Mulder tried to kill her. We had no choice.
Not sure she sees it that way.
Well, I'm
It's,
not gonna
as
ask
with
her.
most things in Norse
Besides,
mythology,
we
our
were in
sources
your
are
area.
extremely oblique and barely mention it, which is
exactly
great
why
if you
I
want to make a
recommend
living
we
off of
don't
writing
do
scholarship,
this.
and bad if you want to figure out what the fuck's going on.
So in chapter 12 of Gylfaginning, in the Prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson, the 13th century Icelandic chieftain, well, commissioned by him or kind of ordered to be made by him, most likely. I don't think he was sitting around writing it at a desk. He probably had scribes do that. Boo, yeah. What a poser. But talking about the wolves that chase the sun and the moon,
Oh yeah.
Hati and
And
is it Skull?
The other one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the other one, yeah. Then Gangleri, the king of Sweden in disguise. Of what family are the wolves, he asks. And then Hai replied, an ogress lives to the east of Midgard in the forest called Jarnvidr, Ironwood. The troll women who are called the Jarnvidjur, the Ironwood dwellers, live in that forest. The old ogress, of course this is a weird translation, ogress, it's probably Gigur or just Jotun Meyer or something like that. Lives to the east. The troll women who are called the Jarnvidjur. The old ogress bore many giant sons, all in the likeness of wolves, and it is from here that these wolves come. It is said that the most powerful of this kin will be the one called Managar, Moondog, Maunigar. Yes, in the Old Norse.
who is presumably Hati again.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, because it says, well, he will gorge himself with the life of all who die, and he will swallow the
Maybe this
moon.
is a
Yeah,
sign.
spattering blood throughout
Don't
the
be a
sky and all
baby.
the heavens.
I'll catch you.
Very brutal.
Promise not to get
Because of
sick.
this, the sun will lose its brightness, while the winds will turn violent, roaring in from all directions.
Fine. Just step
And then
between
it
the ropes
quotes Volaspell.
You know it doesn't work that
Hooray.
way.
That is quite
That's what
cool.
wish
I
it
will
did.
say that in a total solar eclipse, because the temperature drops, it can make the
Is that
winds
so
go
bad?
really
I
weird.
sincerely hope I never have to do it
Yeah.
again.
Not to
if that's what you're
not to
asking.
do the old like here's the literal thing that they're talking about, but that is kind of cool.
But yeah, that is one of several
Well, if I
potential
can't
literal
stop it,
things
then
people have
this
argued
Yeah.
is as far
that
as I
it's
go.
based on. The other big one is a post-volcanic eruption in the
Yep,
6th
yep.
century.
Yeah, you know, the old volcanic winter fucking with the temperatures,
Exactly.
making the sky
Yeah.
look way redder than usual.
Yeah, it's a
Generally
really
a-
cool.
Good stuff.
Yes. Generally a bad time to be alive.
Nah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but a little bit later, everything's gonna be so fertilized. Ah, so worth it.
Yeah, it goes right. Everyone's like, "Here comes that boy." Oh shit, Loki.
Upgrades seem important. Okay. More power. Me.
More power.
Lizard in the Dark, about the terrifying Jotun woman being your favorite thing in Norse mythology. Yeah, I would agree. There's also a great
You sure you wanna go in there
uh,
wearing the very,
thing
very
that
thick
Terry
clothing
Gunnell
style?
likes to say,
I'll hide it under my shirt.
kind of one of the world's
Besides,
leading
it's a
people
reminder
in Old Norse
be
myth
better.
and pre-Christian
You need a
religions of the
murder
North.
weapon to be a
And he
better
would say
person.
that
It makes me feel brave,
in
okay?
the
That's
myths,
such a bad
basically,
thing.
all the
It
gods
leads you
who
to
you can
believe
sort of
that
read to be
they
just the
can
male
say
I see it,
yes.
are just sitting around in a field
I have to
making
try.
gold and things and playing checkers and just messing around. And then the first people that kind of show up and kickstart things are the three Jötnamear, these three Jotun maidens that come from beneath within Urðarbrunni, the Well of Urd.
Ooh.
Sweet.
So it's cool that there's just all these men just sitting around wasting time, and then some Jotun ladies come over and they're like, let's do some cool mythic stuff. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's actually make the world happen.
What makes you think
Sounds
that
good.
applies here?
Because yeah, they're just at like
And
either
this
that
is
there, aren't they?
Ragnarok. We can't just do
Just playing
nothing,
top
we're out of
the
options.
entire
Yeah.
time until
Yeah.
Is an option.
I'm sorry, Atreus saying Brock says some people just run better on chaos. I think he's right. Is like, ooh, Loki.
gonna
Maybe
see
don't
a-
internalize that one.
We're gonna see how that goes for us. I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
I'm just imagining. Oh, we got an ad break.
Oh
Uh-oh.
no.
Yeah,
Then
I am
let's-
just imagining.
You got an ad break. I forgot to disable ad block on this site again. Sorry, Adam.
No worries.
Just like the boys are like drinking scotch and playing checkers, and then like these like Valkyrie ladies and Jotnar maidens show up in bomber jackets, like "Sup, boys."
Boys, huh?
Also, as the ad break should be coming to a close, this is a great time to remind people that if you do not want to have ads anymore, the best way to do that is by subscribing to the channel. If you have Twitch Prime, it is free. And the support is appreciated and ensures that you get access to a bunch of delightful emotes and no more ads.
Woo!
Woohoo!
I will reiterate that in 10 seconds once my ad break ends.
Yeah. Once the ad
Oh,
people
yeah,
can actually
speaking
hear
of-
us.
Ah, dang it, I mistimed it.
Here we go in the chair. Alright, so now as the ad break should be coming to an end about now, if you do want to support the channel and make sure that you don't get any ads, consider subscribing with your Twitch Primes if you have it available, or subscribe to the channel with that little button in the top. It's always good and appreciated. Nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Or you can be me and be subscribed, and then Twitch is like, actually, fuck you.
Yeah. Functional website.
Yup. Not the least dysfunctional website.
A little bird
There we
told
go.
me you might be subtweeting on that one.
Maybe. You can't prove anything.
Of course
I would
not.
love a new rule for Twitter that you have to begin every tweet with "a little bird told me," so that everyone just sounds like vague and shifty and talking in like mafia code.
Hey. Well, not the worst thing that they could do with Twitter now.
Exactly.
So I have a hunch that what we're doing right now is we're very carefully damseling ourselves so that when we have to play as Kratos to undo all this shit, save us from whatever Valkyrie nonsense we've gotten into.
I mean, just because we're gonna talk to Freya, who definitely has tried to murder us before, I'm sure it'll go fine.
Maybe
Right.
our
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
personality will really just get her to not try to kill us.
I think you underestimate the benefit of running on chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
think that where Kratos has failed, I guess, Atreus will succeed the very first time he tries anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gary Sue, am I right? I'm kidding.
Because if there's one thing that Loki is known for, it's always having his plans go exactly as he plans them.
Of course. There's no threats of extreme bodily violence that cause him to change things drastically. What?
So we're kind of in a bit of a story lull right now, as Atreus is just kind of zipping around these mountains and talking to himself, imagining his dad being pissed off at the very obviously bad choice that he's making.
Where do you think I
Is there
learned it from?
anything that we could discuss? Not to backseat like direct, but any sources we could pull up, or any broader mythological discussions we can get into, as we'd otherwise be just kind of like faffing about, talking shit about how much of a genius Atreus is.
Atreus is such a genius. But also, always yes. Luca, I want to talk about like a little bit more about your research and what you do with actually trying to teach with these video games, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's,
Yeah.
there's got to be a lot of potential for that. Otherwise, you and I would not be doing it. You in the classroom, me in not the classroom.
Yeah, no, but don't sell yourself short. I mean, this stuff is super cool. I've always been very impressed with the platform you've built on Twitch
Aw,
and
thanks.
the audience you've garnered. So, and of course, there's precious few of us scholars kind of doing the sort of public education and outreach that you're doing. So,
It's true. Chat,
Very
did you
good.
know that there were academics who taught with video games before today? Informal poll.
yeah, true. It might not be very well known.
But yeah, when you're trying to use this in like the classroom, right? I know you used it partially as like lecture, look at some of the marketing and response. But how do you actually go about like playing a game?
So when we were doing it, specifically, I did it. I brought in my PlayStation. It was cool because it's in the film studies department here, which means a lot of classes sort of by default have like a screening day, and it was twice a week. So once a week on Monday we were just in a normal classroom, and then in Wednesdays we're in the university theater on like a big projector screen. So
Fun.
I was able to bring my PS4 and have like a huge projector wall to project some Skyrim and God of War on, which was really sweet. Initially, though, I wanted to play games in the classroom setting in the first place because I was coming to the class as a teacher on the assumption that, unlike me, nobody had ever really played video games. And if they had, great, they can bring stuff to discussion and they come with background knowledge. But I wanted to kind of start from the ground up and explain really what games are to what I assumed were people who had never really played with them or had been interested in them, which was true, at least for a few people. One other student had played games and continues to, so it was a nice mix of people.
Really wish I had a compass.
Nice.
And so for specifically playing the games, I did hand the controller to people and make them actually run around in Skyrim on this huge screen, which I thought was quite amusing as like a first intro to a game, is playing ultra high res theater quality Skyrim.
Yeah.
And I kind of also wanted to highlight like the interesting and sort of strange way that games highlight, for instance, they quantify everything, including things like race, which can be really weird when you look at it from outside of like a fantasy thing. And of course, there were reasons for this, and I taught the history of role-playing games and Tolkien's influence in fantasy and such. The reasons why we use this term race to talk about like these kind of different folkloric or mythic species like elves or dwarves and things like this.
Yeah.
but the way it's coded in, like, for instance, character creation screen, we went through the character creation in Skyrim, starting from the beginning, and we're just sort of like, it's kind of weird that red guards are coded as like a black people, as like a black skinned people who are then a different race of humanity. It's like really strange.
Yeah, when you're subdividing ethnicity in the same way you subdivide elves versus lizard people, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of
Right.
these is a distinction of species, and the other one is not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so some of it was like focusing on, I guess what you would call like the ludology of games for people who were mostly film students in this particular setting. Focusing on like what's different and interesting about the medium and how it changes how it changes, how it uses words and ideas in interesting ways. And so this was then a tie-in to like how games contribute like new ideas and memories and understandings of even older repertoires of imagery and iconography like Vikings and such. But on top of that, it was also just a vehicle for getting to have people experience the idea of playing the North or playing mythology, like Norse mythology and such, and what that really looks like, and how you could have something like God of War, which is, of course, a long-running series that's renowned for making this larger-than-life, insane, brutal, bloody combat with like mythology as its setting, where you're killing the very gods, you're battling all of these famous monsters in really action-packed, over the top, like some, of course, God of War 2 and 3 just took everything to 11 with the way that Kratos is battling titans and things like this.
God of War 2 is, I mean, everyone was like, oh, God of War 3, because you can't play God of War 2 anymore. But God of War 2 is so immensely extra on every axis.
Yeah, for real. And so the way that this can be such a visceral experience when transforming something like Norse mythology or Greek mythology or anything like this can really stick with people. And I think this is,
I got this.
to a large extent, defining
Yeah,
what
I got it.
the most recent few generations, how they come to understand these older myths and literature and things like this, is really
for
through video
sure.
games.
I feel like before Skyrim, most people would not know what a Draugr was.
No, exactly, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's a discussion that, Adam, I swear we've had on either one of your streams or one of ours before, but the idea that a game's visual fidelity lends authenticity to the world it is creating, that it's like, well, they've put the details in to show this place, therefore those details must be grounded in something, otherwise they wouldn't put them in. Or
Yeah.
it's like,
I mean-
is that true? I don't know, but when the game looks as pretty as this and has all these kinds of tiny little details they throw in, the assumption on the part of the player is, yeah, I guess this all kind of fits, where it's like, if it's cartoony stick figure drawings, like, okay, well, it's not really accurate, but the visual fidelity just intrinsically conveys authenticity. I feel like we were talking about this with one of the Assassin's Creed games, whether it was
Yeah,
Odyssey
definitely.
or Valhalla.
Yeah.
I think it was Valhalla.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
a
we saw
huge-
that literally last week when we were people asked about the longhouses in Svartalfheim.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's got to be based on something. It's like, well, there's
Like,
like
no.
there's a little bit there. But yeah.
Cytogenesis. That's the problem. Somebody comes up with something, and people assume they had a citation, cite that thing, and then it gets circled back around. It's the most insidious thing that makes things almost impossible to research
down
after
there.
a while, especially when we don't have very much starting information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And part of the problem
I'm
with,
not changing my mind.
Norse mythology and Old Norse history is a lot of the important buildings were made of wood, stuff like that. Once it falls down, can't really figure out what shape it was supposed to take when it was up and not rotted.
There's so much. By the way, chat. Sorry. We need a side. Are we hitting
This is an
Sindri with a
important
snowball?
decision.
Of course.
Of course, we're hitting Sindri
Oh,
with a
I
snowball.
see. Sorry. Yeah, we gotta let the chat weigh in. We gotta pull them.
You never do?
I mean, I think it's in our true nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeet.
Keep going, and you might find those too.
Okay, chat was pretty. There was a couple of no's in there. We apologize, but it was overwhelmingly different.
Better than having regrets. Did Atreus just YOLO hitting Sindri with a snowball?
I think it was like disconnected from the previous line. But right, because he was like, you do have doubts, and it's like, well, better having doubts and doing it anyway than having regrets. But no, better than having regrets on not hitting with a snowball.
Atreus asks forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember the Time Team, I think is the name of the show, where they would just do like archaeological investigations. Because I remember
that's a
like
blast from the past.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the point. But like most of the time, they found stuff. But I do remember one episode where they were looking for like an old Norse like church or something, and they were digging down in the right area, and they didn't find anything. And they kind of came to the conclusion of like this whole thing was probably built from wood.
Yeah.
It probably had no stone foundations. It probably fell down and rotted. And so, and you know, when you have that, like, you can reconstruct from some descriptions, but ultimately, you know, there's a lot of power in being the first person to visually interpret a like textual description of a building, because then instead of having to do all that heavy lifting, people will just reference what you did.
Yep.
And thus whatever, whatever spice you added to make it look extra fancy or to pull the design together according to your own aesthetics is what people just kind of assume you had to pull from somewhere. And Genesis, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to be the first. Just look at Wagner.
You have to.
We don't. But on a more serious example, right? The Borg, the like longhouses at Borg and Gamaleira, they're based both on really good research, but they're also doing a lot of interpretation. They are just the standard for what a big longhouse looks like these days.
Well, it's like, you know, we were just talking about Tolkien-esque fantasy and stuff, and it's like, you know, he was drawing on mythology, you know, Norse mythology for his, you know, mountain spirits and great forge masters and stuff like that, but he came up with his own sort of specific aesthetic, and then, of course, the team making the Peter Jackson movies did their own work to come up with, you know, the specific embroidery patterns and the knit chainmail, and even the specific look of elves. As I recall, they're only described as having like leaf-shaped ears in the books. It is like that could mean almost anything, but you know, they went with the pointy ones. And then everyone after that was like, okay, this is what fantasy looks like. This is, you know, this is the aesthetic. Elves are willowy, platinum blonde people in green or silver. And everyone else is like, oh, whoops, sorry, Atreus just got captured. Shocking.
Yeah, who could have predicted this? I know.
No, what a twist.
He doesn't know.
She even knows that he came with Sindri.
Of course she does.
She knew all along.
Yeah. Anyway, the general gist is that like once somebody locks in an aesthetic, it takes an artist actual work to break away from that. So, you know, especially when they're doing a historical adaptation, it sort of produces this illusion that they must have come from somewhere rather than, it came from somewhere. The artist was creative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see what's happening in this scene while we're here.
Yeah. Another great example of this, by the way, is Freya's hair.
Oh, the sort of
presumably based on something instead of much more realistically. They thought it looked good, and it does.
Yeah. I love this version of Freya just as like the murderous Vanadis who's just out for vengeance at this point. She's just living in the snow right now, and she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just gotta kill that guy.
She has become very Kratos-like in that regard. Which is an interesting parallel.
Something
I mean,
cycles of vengeance.
Yeah, exactly, and they were already drawing these parallels very explicitly in the first game with the comparison with her and her son Balder to Atreus and Kratos, and her invoking, like, begging Kratos, like, please don't make these same mistakes that I made.
Yup.
Also, quick thanks to Velith95 for a handful of gifties over the course of the past half hour, including a few right now. Thank you. We're on a level 4 hype train.
Looks like, like 7 gifted subs with Billy Warren with another 5, so huge hype to those. To everyone who got those gifty subs, enjoy your emotes. Also, Freya decides to not kill us. Maybe.
I mean, she hasn't been planning on killing us. She wanted to kill
Just
Kratos,
Kratos.
for some fucking reason.
Exactly.
And that's not all.
I mean...
Yeah, I'm honestly impressed though that she finds the mistletoe arrowhead immediately, even though he hides it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but then she's also
she
like,
doesn't
"This is
instantly
fine."
just.
Yeah.
Yoink. Should have been predictable, but sadly
Hmm.
no. I do super love this, right? This gels very nicely with not who Freya is in the mythology, but who Freya very easily could have been in the mythology. If, you know,
Why aren't we working together?
the gods didn't
Now that
listen
you
to
can
her
fight
when she was
again,
like,
I am
absolutely the fuck not, on most of the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But we found here.
Right, because what is it? Thrimskvila?
If
When
you
Thor gets married,
spoke to
they're
me.
originally like, Freya, you should just go through the marriage ceremony, it'll be fine. And she's like, absolutely not.
Real
And
quick, 10 gifties from Wolfie 1066.
Yeah.
dang,
Took the train to the
Wolfie,
next
you're
level.
at it again.
Thank you.
Choo
Very
choo.
generous.
We just don't know where to go next.
Awesome.
Chat,
If we
you should
all
all get
band
in on this
together,
train
you know.
because these trains go past level 5 these days.
Enough.
We're not done yet.
Oh,
Ow. But right, what is it? This game calls him just Hrimthurs, which
Leave
is
this
a
place.
name of a type of
Go and do
giant,
not return.
the name of a specific giant.
Go before I change my
But the
mind.
giant smith who builds Asgard's walls asks for the
not
sun and moon and Freya, and Freya's like, absolutely the fuck not, and therefore we have Sleipnir.
Yeah. Yep.
That continues...
My favorite origin story.
Exactly. The first one we ever translated.
Yep. Yep.
Way back in the day, the first Old Norse Luca and I ever translated was that story.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
A classic too.
Það var snými and verðagöðaga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good work not getting murdered by Freya.
Woohoo!
Bad work not recruiting her, but you know,
Look, it would be...
I'm sure she'll just go off and be her own loose cannon, intrude back into the plot when it's most convenient.
Exactly.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
There
there'll probably
exists
be
a possibility that my computer's about to crash because it just froze, and I can still hear you guys, but I
Oh,
can't
no.
see shit.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Give me a sec. I'll be right
Yeah,
back.
maybe give that a reboot.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a minute.
That's spooky.
Okay.
Accessories. Sonic Aftershock. Perfect.
I'm just gonna interject because way earlier,
Yes.
I'm sorry it took so long, but Magistricia was asking about the term ludology, which I just threw at chat without explaining it. Sorry.
All good.
And she was asking if that's like an equivalent to film language. I don't really do film studies, so film language is like a
I'm not dead.
specific set
Didn't
phrase.
get any answers.
But it could be
Saw
maybe
that it's
likened
been
to
a
something
very
like
business
cinematography, I guess.
I will never,
Ludology is just like the
ever get
term
this
for game analysis that puts the formalistic elements of games in general, but video games in this context, first and foremost above things like narrative and aesthetics and iconography. So like the rules of the game,
Good thing I
the
like
coding, the logic behind these decisions and things like this.
Right. Is it tied in with the phrase ludonarrative dissonance? The only thing I know this from?
It specifically
It
is.
is.
It's
Yeah.
coined by the same people as part of the same very nonsense debate.
Oh.
Yeah.
So...
Wait, what nonsense
The-
debate?
So there's this, like, the original debate in studying video games is the divide known
handle it.
as ludology versus narratology, which,
Yeah.
what is it? Epson Orseth is one of the big ludologists. And
Yeah, it's Epson Arseth is like the leader of the ludologist camp, quote unquote, and then
Yeah.
it was
Janet Murray.
narratologist like Janet Murray, and they both published these books in the late 90s, which is why they became like the head figures for this quote unquote argument.
Huh.
Yes. It's completely nonsense because the ludologists also just use narratological principles because how do you do a video game without talking about story?
Where's your necklace?
Yeah, it's also really
Minecraft.
funny because it turned out to be like a red herring,
Thinking
or a straw man rather than a red herring, where
She took it.
Espen Arseth and other ludologists were sort of calling for a proper debate from like an educated, a properly schooled narratologist, somebody from the school of narratology, to come and debate against game formalism or ludology. But the people that they were arguing with were not actually narratologists. So there were no narratologists who were saying games are just stories and not rules.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right.
And then, yes, as Adam said, later they ended up doing narrative stuff anyway, so.
Yeah, and like Janet Murray is best known for Hamlet on the holodeck, and if you've ever read that, it's like, it's pretty clear she's talking about rules as well as stories.
Huh.
Yeah, she's talking about, like, the affordances of ever-increasingly advanced computer technology for storytelling. So it's like the technology first, and then its ability to create more immersive stories, like the holodeck, the ideal.
Oh.
Let's get out of here before something else.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, there's a
Hate to bring it
super...
up, but are we telling
I
your
mean,
dad
it's a
about this?
super
Since you've come
nasty
clean,
subject.
No way.
Emma
He's
Vasa has a...
Right.
I think it's their PhD dissertation has a really good breakdown of that. I think
need your
Victoria Cooper's does as well.
Something I've kept
Yeah.
from my brother.
Oh boy. We also
yeah.
have just redeemed in chat an ice cold
tell you
take
on the way back.
from
Oh,
Red
no.
Horse
Come on.
77. So what's the stale scholarly take we got here, Luca? Beyond, you know, ludology itself being a bit
Ludology
stale.
existing. Oh, God. I mean, damn, it's just a second too late, because that would have been the perfect
It is.
cold
It is
take.
perfect.
But there's so many cold takes. We're talking about friggin' Norse studies.
I know.
I know.
The problem is thinking of them because we make a point
On
of
the
trying
spot.
to not.
Yeah, we're trying to be advanced and cutting edge here.
Tragic.
Never quit.
Tragic.
Also, sorry, Blue, you good? You back? I see that you're muted, but like,
Is Blue alive? Did Blue dead?
well, he reconnected a couple times. I'm sure the audience heard the pings.
A very long story that does not bear getting into, but every once in a while my laptop will just decide to like fully freeze and shut down if I tap off of a full screen page. It's very weird. That's how we almost lost a full hour and a half of rolling with difficulty audio that one time.
Oh God, I remember that.
I'm back, so we're okay.
Yay!
Yay!
We got a cold take redeemed for Norse mythology, and we're struggling to.
I did hear that part.
Yeah.
I mean, since people were complaining about tier earlier before we started playing,
There was an
we could revive, rather, the, I think it's probably already been discussed here a couple of times, but the fact that Tyr is called the war god in this, the Norse war god.
Yeah, we're going to see him in a moment. I think that's a good one to do, because we're
Okay,
about maybe
just a recap.
we're like 5 minutes away from seeing Tyr again. So recapping our pacifist war god and the fact that his status as god of justice, war, and other things is actually fairly dubious.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, unrelated. Sindri just talked about how Brock died.
Oh, yeah.
And he brought
Yeah.
him back.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
he's probably so like germophobic because he got all slopped on by zombies that one time.
he's also germophobic because one person explained to him bacteria, and he's not okay. He's not.
Oh, this
Yes.
poor guy.
No,
Jesus,
Brock
that's
is
dark.
the one who died. Sindri is the germaphobe. He didn't.
Yeah,
die.
that's, did I get him mixed up? Sorry.
I thought you did. Maybe I misheard you, but
Sindri got germophobic because he got covered in souls while in the Lake of Souls
and he got 75% of Brock's soul back.
oh, okay.
God, that's so
nice little
unnerving.
side quest.
It's
What,
bad.
getting the last chunk of his soul?
I'm sure. I don't know that we'll actually ever get that, or at least as far as I've gone, we have not elaborated on this. It was simply, it is brought up to be dealt with eventually.
wasn't mine to make.
In earlier
Yeah.
Dawn of Wars, that would be like the gamiest shit that they could put us on a side quest for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I am wondering if this isn't
dwarves, when they
if
saw
the
him, they
accident is
shunned us.
at the creation of Mjolnir
So we
instead of Loki just being a
made our own
gadfly
way.
that makes Brock lose focus for a moment. If it's just fully kills Brock,
Who you are.
Wow.
Let's go home before father.
because in the mythology, right,
might
the
be the
only
best
story
idea we've
that
had
Brock
all
and
night.
Sindri both show up in is the
Right.
creation of Mjolnir.
It's a
And
Yeah.
that seems like a way that they would up the stakes in this franchise.
Yeah, no, that could very
Wow.
well be.
Yeah.
It's come up once more in the distance that I've gone to. I won't elaborate on it, obviously,
That was?
but it hasn't explained it to that degree. It just is important for story reasons, but it doesn't say what happened specifically.
Okay. Fair enough.
So we still don't know.
All right.
Question from Raptorus. To get this out of the way ahead of time, is there a precedent for a 4-part soul in Norse religion?
Oh God.
No.
Not that I know of.
In Greek mythology, there are concepts or in Greek philosophy, concepts of a tripartite soul.
Egyptian folklore and mythology has a very complicated anatomy of the soul.
I think there's 5 in Egyptian.
It also
the Book of the
changes
Dead.
after you die. If you're
Helpful.
properly mummified, the remaining part of your soul is transformed into a new form that I think is a bird.
Of course.
Yes. Because most things in Egyptian mythology are birds after a while.
Yeah. But Norse mythology has at most a
Well,
2-part
let's not
soul.
make it worse than it
Depends
is.
on whether you actually think
When we
Hugur
get
and
there,
Hamr,
I'll cover our tracks
mind
with
and
the
shape,
gateway and
are
slip
2
around back, and
parts
you
of the soul,
just act
or whether it's
natural.
just
But quickly.
whether it's just the soul. Is it the soul and the
Yeah.
body, or is it the soul and a different part of the soul?
Right.
I love how they're
I know
discussing
it's-
like how they're gonna okay, we're just gonna sneak in
gonna
and nobody's
sneak
ever
in,
gonna
it's
know
gonna
they're
be
gone.
fine.
So Kratos is gonna definitely be waiting for you. Like,
It's this
all right, boy,
going
where have
to
you
be
been?
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Anyway.
in modern kind of neo-paganism, it sort of has been extrapolated. Obviously, this is recreative, so it has nothing to do with the actual medieval or Viking Age understanding of the soul. But they also factor in like the hamingja, which is this idea of like somebody's innate luck.
Yeah.
The fylgja, which is this like follower spirit. The fetch, which is usually like a similar thing, but like an
That's
animal.
also the Filgia, though. That's the same word.
It's exactly, but they get differentiated in the modern neo-pagan tradition for whatever reason.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, selfhood is something that if Mary were here, she would be much more apt to elaborate on. But from what I've heard from her kind of studying this from like an emotion studies in literature perspective, is that there was no real differentiation between soul and body to the same extent in the Middle Ages, at least. That it's like an Enlightenment, Renaissance and Enlightenment kind of retcon of that idea onto the past.
Yeah.
I accept.
I like that Kratos always goes out of his way to like turn Mimir so he's facing the rest of the.
Yeah.
Mimir deserves to appreciate, to like.
I'm sorry,
participate.
what just happened on screen? what?
Oh, I hit a button. Hello. I have memes. Chat,
Oh,
chat. We have memes.
what the?
Oh my god.
Before the last stream,
Just
Adam
looking
was
down
showing
at the
me
dinner.
how his stream deck has like 5 memes preset.
Knowledge keeper?
I absolutely have memes preset. So when
Oh,
we
this is fantastic.
when we need truly garbage Orientalism, Edward Said can come in and judge us properly.
I wasn't sure you.
If we have anachronism, the ghost of Robin Williams will come and comment on that. And then when we have good moments, you know, I'm an academic, I actively do research, and these video games can fit so many conference papers in them.
You know what?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Build a bigger table.
Memes. I accidentally hit my stream
Beautiful.
deck, so that's on me. Also, did we just see Tyr accept a challenge to cook for all these people? Yes.
This is so
Yep.
sweet. I can't wait for this beautiful found family of 5 dads and 1 kid to go horribly awry.
Oh, by the way, we can just sit here.
You're really up for coming with us?
Eating?
I am.
Yeah?
Whenever you're ready.
Incredible.
Whenever I'm ready, I can hit a button and Kratos will stand up.
Council
But I believe we have to
Fatherhood of
introduce
the
Tyr
traveling
first.
boy.
Plus.
5.5, man.
We're ready for our first Tyr adventure now.
Oh boy, 2 dads, 2 uncles, and 1 very distant uncle. Exactly.
Tyr has joined the party.
Exactly. But yeah, we should introduce him
right.
because he has 2 hands, is very tall, and is a pacifist. And that's
Yeah,
kind
also
of a big
the
deal.
the cold take kind of got interrupted by me about Tyr as like god of war and justice or something like that.
Exactly.
So what was the deal with
Right.
that? Because I mean, as I understand it, and this is just kind of my limited awareness, it feels like we don't actually know that much about Tyr because it seems like within the Norse religion he kind of got ousted a ways back because there's the stories about him being sort of, you know, he used to be important and now he's been disqualified and now Odin's the big man in charge. But also the Tiwa's rune is so structurally important that it feels, I don't know, this is all I know, but
It's good to see you. a free
Yeah,
man
so this is
again,
all coming out
Fred.
of the same body of work. This
Oh,
is
fuck.
Jan de Vries's Ultramanische Religiongeschichte.
wait, this was a bad thing, wasn't it? That name sounds familiar.
That name does sound familiar. Also, George Dumézil. I can't remember the name of the book. But yeah, those two kind of collaboratively do that. Dumézil worked in the Vichy government. Jan de Vries was a registered member of the Nazi Party.
Oh, he was the Nazi. I
He
knew
was
it.
the
It's always
Nazi.
DeVries, Red. It's always DeVries.
Some of his takes still stand. Very many of them do not still stand.
Yeah.
He unfortunately is very important for the field, and so you can't escape him. But they have the two back-to-back takes. Firstly, that Tyr. Oh look, the game is telling me to stand up. I refuse, game.
No, tell me how much dialogue you wrote for this scene.
Exactly. I think we might be out of dialogue actually.
Oh, now it's just awkward.
Exactly. That's fine. I'm gonna talk over it.
Yeah.
So, first one is that Tyr, because Tyr is the word for God, and therefore cognate with Latin Deus and Greek
Oh,
Zeus.
of course,
Clearly,
yeah.
this means Tyr used to be the chief of the gods and was later displaced by Odin. There is literally no evidence other than linguistics to suggest this,
Right.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
The other one is that Tyr is a god of war and justice. The Prose Edda says he is Viragvud, so a god of battles.
Right.
But the justice part is based primarily on a 3rd century Frisian inscription that says Mars Thincus, so assembly
you want,
Mars.
Oh, yeah, because that was when they were doing all that syncretism, like, here's how they worship the Roman gods, actually.
Exactly. The assumption is
Yeah.
that because Mars is associated with Tyr in kind of Old English texts, that clearly this means that in this Frisian inscription, Mars refers to Tyr, and therefore we have assembly Tyr, therefore Tyr is related to assemblies. It's not an abysmal read of the sources, but it is, I think, a stretch. The odds are equally likely that it's a local god. We brought this up last week with Felix, and Felix is much more supportive of the idea than I am, but that's fine, right? There's room for reasonable disagreement on that part in particular. Yeah,
Right behind you.
but yes,
Reptoris, I can't imagine why a Nazi would want to correlate justice and violence.
Oh,
true.
there is
Uh,
also, I mean, I try not to go too far into the Proto-Indo-European, reconstructed stuff because it's so much like, it's just all from the linguistics.
Yes.
But there is the thing, and here's the problem. There is a parallel you can draw between the Norse mythology and the Book of Invasions, which also might be 100% fake, kind of, which is Nuada with the silver hand, and it has the similar lost the hand, can no longer be king, somebody else takes charge. But what's the causality there? What's the order of operations?
So, the fun thing is that Emmett Taylor, who I've worked with a bunch, I was talking with them and they've figured out, through some very clever linguistic work in Old Irish, the Celticists have figured out that Nuada loses his whole last arm, and the Prose Edda is
Right.
extremely explicit, or his whole last arm, right arm, is extremely explicit that the wolf gets his hand, or that Tyr gets his hand bitten off at the wrist.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I still feel like the loss of hand disqualifying you from being in charge is kind of important.
Yes,
Not one for your strong
potentially.
inspiration, I see.
It certainly affects his ability to, wield a sword. So Tyr gets devoured by the wolf guard, who might be Fenrir or might not be, at Ragnarok. The end. What a
Yeah.
terrible end to his foster fathership.
Merely one of my spectral aspects.
Also, Chad is freaking out because it is our boy Songwon.
So far removed.
On screen
Rattatas
at
is so
last.
cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of,
He's interesting because like everyone else is animated pretty realistically, and Ratatosk is animated with the motions of a Disney sidekick.
Yeah,
He's so
yes,
bouncy.
yes, so Disney.
He's the bounce on that boy.
Would you like the seed back?
Hooray, we got just what I wanted.
He's so fucking cute.
He
Just-
jumps into his.
Ugh.
Precise.
Kratos, you're far less squeamish than I am. I'm far less squeamish than Sindri, but Kratos needs to, like, wash his hands.
On my tree.
Yeah.
Your tree, huh?
Yes, my tree. Here, let me show you.
I mean, he's about to get
Oh,
them
boy.
covered in blood, so he's probably fine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it'll wash off.
Kratos isn't afraid of germs because this version of Greece already has full Galenic physiology in place. He's like, I'll just eat some hot, dry food and I'll be fine.
Needed an Alfheim
So,
seed.
we finally get a choice. We could go back to Svartalfheim to deal with the powers that we don't have.
You have unresolved
We could go to Niflheim, which has nothing of value in it because we haven't killed enough birds yet. Or we could go to Alfheim and progress the main story.
I am always
think-
a fan of the main story being progressed.
I think
I
right
think
now
main
it's main story.
stories-
We need to kill a
Yeah.
few more birds before we can go to Alfheim.
Yeah. 2 more, right?
3 more. I've only
Okay.
killed. I think I've only killed 3 right now, and the first thing
okay.
unlocks at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alfheim was the first
Yeah.
I think it's 6, 12, 18, and then it increases to like 28 or
Yeah,
26.
I think it's 24, 32, and 48. Because there's 48 total in the game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, Aleph did not update. We are not playing Pentiment today. We will be back with Pentiment on Tuesday. But yes, we are doing God of War because that's also an important good game.
The title does say play Pentiment.
Dang it! I told it to update. Boo. Let me fix that. Okay, mine. Huh. Nope, that is me, subconsciously wanting to play Pentiment more.
Just keep playing
Oh,
Pentiment.
So
yeah.
we're gonna switch that over. There we go. That's corrected. That's on me. That's not Twitch's fault. That is fully my fault. But yes,
This is guerrilla marketing.
this is 100% guerrilla marketing for Pentiment because chat. You should all show up on Tuesday for the Pentiment stream to watch me be absolutely giddy.
Yeah. So I do have a question about the tier thing.
Yes.
Because I fully believe that the Proto-Indo-European, linking Tyr with Zeus, with Jove, with Dios, that I mean, linguistic roots do not a religious corollary make, but the Tiwa's rune does seem more structurally relevant than certain other things.
Sort of. Right.
Right.
By the Viking Age itself, the biggest mention of the Tyr rune, and I will insist on using Tyr and not Tiwaz because Tiwaz is Proto-Germanic and I don't believe in that.
Okay.
Right. I mean, basically, right. Why use 3rd century language for the 10th century?
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, right. Sigurd Drifamal says you should carve the Tyr rune into the hilt of a blade twice. As part of the charms that Sigurd Drifa teaches to Sigurd. And that is, as far as I know, the biggest iteration of the Tyr rune specifically being used in a magical context.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually not that much for all that later material has made the Tyr rune big for all sorts of divination. As far as I know, there's one charm that specifically says, carve this rune twice.
Interesting.
Yeah. If I'm
God,
remembering
this
correctly, there is one archaeological example of a Tyr rune on a weapon, but it's not a
fun.
sword hilt. So
Oh, huh.
I'd have to look up that reference, but I did do a small paper for rune magic for Margaret Cormack's class
Oh,
in
perfect.
2020, which
Amazing.
was good fun. It was like a little side research paper. But
Amazing.
Neat. I gotta say, researching Norse mythology frustrates me on a very primal level because there's so little information. So there's just about 5 million ways to be wrong, and I hate being wrong about stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can say literally anything, and someone will be like, actually, there's a little extensive research into why that's stupid. It's like, god damn it.
I can't help but get stuck on like the carving the rune into your blade. It's like, but Zedekiah, I hate him. Carve this rune into your blade. One weird trick.
Ah.
oh no.
Sorry,
No,
Amazing.
that's great.
Tyr rune brain rot over here.
We're watching
It's okay.
too much gaming channels.
Yeah, I am.
Present company excluded.
Yeah.
Runes causing brain rot is absolutely something I'd subscribe to. So
True.
I think that no, you know what? I'm gonna stop that hot take before it continues. Nope,
Pause.
nobody saw that. Anyway.
But I will say the kind of corollary that Terry Gunnell always likes to say, right, is that the alternative is that we have so little material and there's been so much ink spilled that there's like 500 ways to be wrong, but there's also about 400 ways to be plausibly right.
yeah,
But everyone still argues about those and makes it feel like you're wrong.
Yeah, but what's the overlap on those?
Significant.
This stresses
Yeah,
me the fuck out.
quite
At least in Greek mythology, we have an excess of sources.
Yup,
Greek and
That's true.
Egyptian, and
it's true.
of the big three of mythologies that people get obsessed with in middle school, Norse is the one that's mostly made up.
It's far and away the smallest. Well, we do. Oh, hello. I see a bird. Right, I will say we do have a lot more sources than we like, than will often be imagined, because we do have like very late material that's useful.
yeah.
It's more than just 2 manuscripts, but it is mostly 2 manuscripts.
Bah.
Yes.
Norse
Exactly.
mythology is a conspiracy by Big Snorri Sturluson to sell you more manuscripts.
I mean, I'd also buy that. That sounds correct.
Yeah. On the subject of Snorri Sturluson taking credit for probably scribes he commissioned, anyone seen the new H-Bomber guy video?
True.
No.
It's so good. Highly recommend.
Roblox oof.mp3.
Oh,
That's
it's
the
this.
one,
I heard
baby.
about this.
The
Yeah,
hour-and-a-half-long documentary about oof.
I believe it's 2
I
hours.
love this kind of weird stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, and the also Defunct Land just came out with a similar video about the origin of the Disney Channel 4-note jingle, and that one's actually incredibly heartwarming and turns into like a discussion of the nature of artistic preservation and the importance of crediting work and the dangers of information loss. And the H-Bomber Guy video kind of circles to the same point, but from a very different tone.
Yes.
So, yes.
Also, as someone who's in an archives training degree, right, I recognize the impulse and good records keeping is important. And the fact that, yeah, there's like deeply insufficient corporate records keeping for all this material is really bad.
Yeah.
No.
Real quick, what I love about the Kvasir poems is that they are all stories about other PlayStation franchises. If
What?
we read them,
Yeah, let's go take a
if
look
we
at
read
those.
them, they're all other PlayStation games.
Yeah, I
And
heard
then
this.
once
I
you
didn't-
see
I
the
didn't go back and
pattern,
look.
You realize like how much of a troll it is because the
Where-
titles are so. Yeah, it's really hard to find them.
Where are they? Resources,
It's in
It's,
collectibles.
key items.
No, it's in lore there. It scrolls.
Is it lore? Oh.
Um,
No? No, that's
No, maybe
different. Lore markers, no. Foes, no. They're somewhere.
No,
It's
yeah,
gotta be
there it is.
somewhere.
I think it's in goals. I
no,
think it's
no,
in
it's
goals.
not. Sorry.
Artifacts, yes.
Huh.
Sunrise of Nothingness, which I believe is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep, it
Wait,
is.
let me see. Sunrise of Nothingness. Okay. Creatures of Metal. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 100% Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
yeah,
Undiscovered, we
yeah.
don't know yet. But We Who Remain, Part the Second, Last of Us Part 2. This is presumably
Oh,
then Last of Us
fuck's
Part
sake.
1. Tool and Bang is Ratchet
Jesus.
and Clank.
Oh my god.
God damn it.
I'm not sure.
Afterlife.
Wait, let me. I just hasn't scrolled.
Yeah. Afterlife
Stick,
Abandonment.
rope, Tarlac, skin, handprint, baby crying, shower. Oh wait, hold on. Is that fucking Death Stranding?
It is because look
Oh,
what it says.
baby.
It policy work
Oh,
of
piss.
brilliance that
Motherfucker.
if misunderstood proves the ignorance of the reader, this is taking the piss out of people who think Death Stranding is bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
This
hysterical.
God.
bomb piss is when it clicked for me.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like,
hysterical.
oh my god, this is a shit post.
When I saw the baby crying, I was like, oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy.
Yep. I am excited to see what other ones crop up eventually.
What a
there is
visionary.
one back in Svartalfheim, which is MLB The Show, which is large, like Major League Baseball, large society ground orb, the performance. And it's about like two armies assembled, 9 warriors each. One army triumphant, the other struck out. It's like, it's so, once you see what is happening, it's so funny. I'm fascinated to see what the lore implications for this Kvasir guy are, because they have to have a way to justify this in world. They have to.
This is some Flash of Two Worlds shit where he's been getting like psychic dream resonances from other universes.
Yep. By the way, there is a request for people who have come in late, Luca, for you to introduce yourself again.
Oh, okay, sure.
Because
No
it has
problem.
been a while and people have joined in late.
Yeah, fair enough. Hello, newcomers to the Ludohistory / OSP co-stream of God of War Ragnarok. I'm Luca Panaro, a PhD candidate at the University of Iceland, a former peer in the Viking and Medieval Norse Studies program with our host Adam of Ludohistory. And I am still here at the same university doing a PhD studying video games and their reception of Vikings in particular. So,
Yeah. And as you introduce that, we have decided to start murdering Alvar.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, this time we spiced it up from the previous game. Instead of killing the Dark Elves, we're killing the Light Elves.
Hooray!
I
Hooray!
think the way they explore the conflict over the next like hour of gameplay that we'll see is really interesting.
Yeah.
In a way that I think goes to a far much I can use words, a
Far more?
more nuanced place than Skyrim character creator, where the races you can choose are Scandinavian, Roman, Black, and Lizard.
Oh,
I
God.
think the way that this game handles the Light Elf, Dark Elf history is, and you guys can obviously explain this in much more detail, knowing a lot more of the backstory and the mythology, but I think they do a really interesting thing with how they portray this and how they purposefully blur the lines.
Interesting.
By the way, I'm staring at this because I'm very suspicious.
What? Which part?
The petroglyphs.
Oh, yeah.
Broadly speaking, I'm suspicious when petroglyphs start showing up.
Suspicious in which dimension?
Suspicious of indigenous coding.
Ooh!
Because it's always the case.
Yeah.
In this case, right, it is very far outside my wheelhouse, both time and spatially, but right, there are similar petroglyphs all over the American Southwest.
yeah, that's my neck of the woods. There's huge fields of lava flow, obviously like fossilized lava flow that are covered with petroglyphs from like 1400 or 1500, I think. They're not that old, but
Yeah.
Some of these
they're
look
really
a little bit, the spiral, I might be misremembering. I did at one point a big pile of research into Australian Aboriginal portrayals of rainbow serpent adjacent things, and that sort of spiral on the underside of the red rocks look is similar, but I mean, you know, you can read into into cave paintings and petroglyphs as much as you want, but ultimately the last I heard, the theory was that petroglyphs were a lot more widespread, and the ones that we still have are the ones that didn't get washed away. Yeah. Oh, have you guys heard about the what's the word? They're called like the spaghetti lines over like deep cave paintings. You'd get like these animals portrayed with multiple limbs or heads, and they'd be covered in these weird lines, and it wasn't clear why until somebody went in there with an actual torch, and the flickering light produced the illusion of animation.
Wow.
It's so cool. Cave paintings make me feel feelings. The caves of Lascaux are so. Oh, can I actually use this to cross promote a video my mother made?
Go for it.
My mom made a video on the caves of Lascaux and the cave paintings therein, basically just exploring the nature of the images and how they were clearly modified by later generations, because some of some of the figures are mostly painted in one material and medium, and then on top of that has been painted in a different one. Like the notorious Lascaux like unicorn figure is clearly a horse that somebody else clumsily drew like 2 charcoal lines on, and she's like, this is clearly a different generation of artists. I'm gonna find the link.
Go for it.
Even down here.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, adding to the indigenous coding though, the thing that we just picked up, the tribute to Freyr by the Leosalvar, is a dream catcher. Which they specifically say was picked up, a style that was picked up by Tyr from the Western lands and then adopted by the Alvar.
Yeah.
All right. I linked it in
Great.
chat. They should be able to see it. Sorry.
Tyr did a study abroad once and comes back like he knows everything.
Honestly.
What's happening right now?
But
This seal is meant to represent
I
the
don't
balance
know.
of the
That
realm.
definitely
Freya
reframes
light and dark
the
working
violence that we
together
did against
in
the Sturkalvar in
How's
the
that look,
previous
Atreus?
game.
Good, I think.
Uh,
Now
Yeah.
you go.
but
Unfortunately for
Do we know
Alfheim,
that
Freya
this
couldn't accept
artifact
his sister's
Dreamcatcher
decision
thing
to
that we
marry
picked up
Odin.
was specifically made by
Returned to
Leosalvar?
Alfheim.
Or
it doesn't actually say. I think it just says it's an elven
okay.
tribute.
Okay,
to
because
Tyr.
we'll see. Yeah, I think that the this puzzle will explain what I'm trying to say about the balance of power right now.
Yeah,
Realm isn't.
it's not good.
Father,
No.
try
Turns
forward
out,
the other way.
murdering the entire
Yeah. And here.
political
Keep pushing forward.
hierarchy of one half of this war ends up being very bad for the balance of power in this war.
If it needs to be rotationally symmetric, the segment in the middle on the right isn't. It's fine. I guess this is what it wanted anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, it needs to be overwhelmed by the
Yeah.
white
Yeah.
the white light.
Great.
Yeah, I'm sure this is fine. Oh, that is not
like
the right
that.
thing.
To their credit, I will say the sort of like Celtic knotwork pattern they're using for their, well, this isn't the style they used on the petroglyphs, but this does not feel so much like they ripped an actual indigenous art style and we're just like,
Yeah.
our elves have this now. I made this.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're luckily very good about not doing that, but they are still using coding
dark elf
because
statue doing in the
we're going to
legend?
see it soon, but they're like, oh yes, the Dirk Alvar don't like
elves
big
weren't
complex
always
constructions
light and
and
dark.
harnessing natural resources
statue
for
depicts the elves
environmental
before the war.
colonialism. The Leos Alvar do, and I don't know how to. I don't love that we're still conflating a lot of like cross-culturally common, but also still very recognizable notes of
The stone breathes in
indigeneity
parts of it of light to your axe.
with
That's
Right.
useful.
the idea that indigeneity is necessarily enclosed with environmental
What's that
protection, and
sense in spoiling the
gold
surprise.
and marble is inherently attached to environmental usage or environmental, well, colonization. There's a
It's
lot.
the-
I have a lot
yeah.
of feelings that are not sorted out.
Aesthetic coding is one of the hardest ones to avoid.
Yeah.
Because, ultimately, it is very, very difficult to
never
construct
seen
a
the Lake of
story
Souls
from
so volatile.
first principles with
Ah.
absolutely no aesthetic
Oh
influence.
God, yeah.
Of course.
I think that
So the basic
The-
is light well. That's the
they're
Lake of
flirting in the space that made the Blue Cat People Avatar movie, which is basically,
When the elves discovered
magical elves with a deep connection to nature is a common trope thanks to Tolkien. Magical people with a deep connection to nature is a colonialist trope that sort of it was like the pendulum swing in the opposite direction to the initial propaganda push behind colonialism of like civilization is the tops and we're gonna make everything in the world like us and that'll be great and nature is icky and bugs are gross. Victorians were hilarious.
Yeah.
But the thing is, those are spaces of tropes that synergize very, very easily. And if you decide that you want to subvert the Tolkien-esque trope of the elves are this incredibly ancient but powerful and emplaced, they're kind of the authority figures in this world. If you decide to subvert that, the easiest thing to do is to be like, the elves are a, you know, they're the other group we stereotypically associate with being really in touch with nature. And it feels like a trope subversion, but it's like a one-level deep subversion. So you end up with my elves aren't like magical, ancient, you know, superpowered pretty boys. My elves are indigenous Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the thing is you can build elf culture from the absolute ground up with none of that, but ultimately trying to avoid all coding becomes a losing battle, because people in your audience will always be able to draw parallels, no matter what you do. Especially
even if you don't put them there.
even if you don't put them there. It's like there's like layers of this. Like you can make a conscious decision to code, you can make an unconscious decision to code, and you can not intend to code at all, but things still leak through. And the trouble, especially when it comes to looking for coding with marginalized communities, is that the most frustrating thing about it is that marginalized communities are covered in stereotypes.
Yeah.
Every single thing a marginalized person can do can be categorized as a stereotype. In fact, most of these communities have stereotypes that cover one persona and its opposite. This runs as basic as, like, if you're writing a female character, it's like, I'm gonna make her, like, gentle and nice. Oh, what a feminine stereotype. I'm gonna make her tough and cool. Oh, I see, so she's not like other girls. Like, that, you know, it's a yin-yang. There's no space that's free of stereotypes. There's no way you can write any marginalized character in a way that is completely devoid and separate from the space of coding and stereotypes.
Yeah.
But you can be doing it not on purpose, and you can be doing it in a way where your story clearly has nothing to do with that, where it's a stretch to be like, you're clearly trying to send this message. Like, sometimes that says more about the audience than it does about you.
I think what I like about the way that this game handles it, and again, we'll see it more later. I don't want to talk in advance of what the game shows us, because I might be misremembering ever so slightly, or maybe a lot, who knows. But the way the game constructs the difference between the light elves and dark elves is the basis of an ideological difference that then results in the light elves use the elves to make themselves all, like, flowy and radiant and, like, crazy, whereas the dark elves are like, no, put that shit back, and they kind of evolved in a different direction. So it was a sort of creation of a new pair of ethnic identities that split from ideology, rather than the possibly more icky association of, because of their ethnicity, they think this. And again, we'll see more of this conveyed in a much more delicate way by the game over the course of the next, like, half hour, 45 minutes. But I think they do make some choices that avoid the ickiest possible interpretation, despite the fact that we still do have, like, some stuff to contend with how they construct this. They do make choices that make it way not as bad as it could have been.
I will say it is kind of interesting that the story they're telling here is, in fact, very clearly about environmentalism. Like, you know, we can read an ethnic identity into it, but it's explicitly about there's a natural resource present in this land. One faction wanted to harvest the shit out of it. The other one decided that that was the bad choice because it was harming the environment and pushed back on that. So basically, this is about oil, gas, you know, whatever. And I like that. The fact that they color-coded the factions as light and dark is
also
asking for a misread, but it's still interesting.
Also, vaguely flowy robes, pretty boys, and bug people.
That
Aren't
didn't
they all
help their
bug
case.
people?
The dark elves are bug people.
The light elves aren't?
No.
How confusing.
Right, I mean, I think they technically are, but they, like, don't have wings, they don't act, right, they don't really look like it.
No, not nearly as much.
Chat's discussing the sort of disparity between, you know, dehumanization and violence incitement as, like, these are savage people versus, like, in tune with nature, childlike innocence. It's like, yeah, those are both bad because they're both dehumanizing. It's the cultural equivalent of the whole Madonna whore thing.
Yes.
In that, you know, if you characterize...
ad break, by the way, so we might want to
Whoops!
Yeah,
well, that's
it
okay.
just
We might want to
started,
just quickly reiterate this after, like, the next 30
Yeah, of
seconds.
course.
But resume.
Well, it's just, you know, in either case, a person is being framed as a trope rather than a full human being. No matter what that trope is, no matter how admirable or positive it sounds like on paper, it's still harmful to apply it to a person because that person is a complete human being with thoughts and feelings and autonomy and the ability to make decisions that don't align with this, whether they're on a pedestal or whether you think they're beneath you. In either case, you're framing them in a light that denies them that they are a person equal to you.
Yes. Oh. That was dumb of me. Get over it.
Yeah.
To recap for the ad people, essentially, it's a similar version of the Madonna-Whore dichotomy.
Yeah, which is essentially two different flavors of opposing dehumanization. If that's the, if that's the dichotomy you view the world through, you can categorize every, specifically woman in this case, that you meet into one of those two categories. The problem is, even if you think one of them is a positive and the other one is a negative, framing anybody in a light that is inhuman denies them their personhood and, more fundamentally, that they are a person equal to you in personhood, which is why it is so appealing, especially in the structure of colonialism, to frame the people that you are either oppressing or the people you're trying to advocate and speak for as beings that are not your equals, because that makes a lot of things easier. So I think that when it comes specifically to the light and dark elves that we're dealing with here, we might be reading into this to a level of granularity it wasn't intended to be inspected under. I don't think there was any malice in this. I think at absolute worst, there were some unexamined tropes that got used here. I don't think that, we should necessarily let them off the hook for, okay, they didn't mean this to be a problem. But I also think, sometimes, you see analysis of fiction and you're like, you had to pick this thing apart with a fine-tooth comb, and then you had to extrapolate really far from the 3 bad data points you found to explain why this is the worst thing ever. And it's really not that complicated.
It's like when you play the game of Light Elves and Dark Elves, you are asking for trouble.
Yes. And I think part of it also is I don't think they had this meditation on environmental degradation and violence being two intertwined phenomena when they made God of War 2018 and made the Dark Elves bug people.
Well, I mean, the thing is, one of the things that I actually was kind of frustrated about in God of War 2018 is that they had all these interesting stories and interesting settings, and we weren't allowed to deal with any of them. We were just on a straight line from point A to point B, occasionally murdering our way through a pile of people who seemed to be dealing with something much more interesting than we were.
Yes.
And even when the world opened up, we couldn't do anything about it. And the whole time we were killing the Dark Elves, it was like, oh, Father, I don't know if we should be doing this. They're gonna die without this thing. Yes, boy, but we must. And then that's just as far as we went. We didn't care about it. So, this could have been happening in the background. The game didn't care.
Yeah, this has in fact been happening in the background, and Kratos was just like, I don't care. This is not our problem.
We got places to be. We got shit to do.
Yeah.
I think that's also part of the I guess this would be ludonarrative harmony, to use that term again. In the sense that Kratos didn't care back then because he still is on this journey of kind of trying to regain some of his humanity from the I don't know, 8, I forget how many total games there were besides the 3 main God of War titles.
God
I think
of War
8?
2 PSP games and then Ascension.
So, yeah.
Okay,
God of War 4
6.
is actually God of War 7.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So all of the horrific things that happened to Kratos, both caused by him and also, not caused, he was born in Sparta and forced to go through, child soldier training. So, and all the other things that these other games reveal. So he had a very dehumanizing experience, and so he's trying to and by God of War 3, he doesn't care anymore. He's just killing everything left and right. He's just sick of it. So I think these games are, obviously they're about kind of rehumanizing Kratos through the experience of trying to prevent his son from inheriting, his violent behavior in God of War 2018. And in this game, he's continuing to try to become a more sensitive type of father. So I don't think in 2018, the story being linear in that sense of Kratos literally not caring and just killing them because they get in his way fits in line with him still being stuck in that kind of mode of engagement with just the whole world, because he still is just a stranger in a strange land. He's like, I don't care, they're literally just in my way. We have to get the light of Alfheim so we can get the Bifrost charged up to go to fulfill Faye's wishes.
Yeah.
In this game, though, he's become more aware of being a part of, and a big influential part of this world that he's accepting that he's now his home.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
consider how in the first game, Kratos thinks that he's being responsible by saying we're only killing the people who are in our way and otherwise we're not interfering, as if that makes it fine.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
That I believe
Kratos,
that's Tier's
yes.
commentary on the whole thing. Is
Yeah,
why
exactly.
does that make it fine?
Yeah, I mean, he's still doing it here, but
Yep. But yeah.
There's something you could unpack here about how a game so laughably centric on gratuitous spectacle violence, kind of lecturing you for also killing people is a
yeah.
a little. It's not like this game has a pacifist route.
No, yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine.
But, I mean, here's the thing. You opt into playing the game. That's a whole thing. The fact that you opt into playing the game means that you consent to doing harm to these little pixels and these zeros and ones.
This is some Undertale genocide run bullshit right there.
It exactly is. Less elegantly demonstrated in BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite.
Also,
yeah,
Spec Ops-
exactly. No,
Spec Ops
Adam, you're
the line.
exactly on it. Is silently backing up every single thing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we are in line with Kratos because we are agreeing with him by continuing to play and killing all these dark elves because they're in our way. We as the player want to get to the end of the game. Kratos as the character wants to get to the top of that mountain. And both him and we are like, well, guess they gotta die.
Yeah.
And that being said, right, the counter argument, right, this is the Spec Ops The Line argument. The counter argument to it is that no, the game designers don't give us a choice. And that's what
Yeah.
made Undertale work, is that there's a whole lot of people who get the choice and we're like, yeah, what if we did violence anyway? Because that's what we
Yeah.
think we're supposed to. Oh, that was dumb of me.
Well, the thing is, like, a game lecturing you on making the choices that the game forces you to make always feels a bit gauche, you know? It's
Yes.
like, with Undertale, of course, like, you have to go through some serious fucking work to do a genocide run. Like, it gives you so many options to turn back. You have to do incredibly annoying grinding to kill everything. Like,
Yes.
the game is pushing you back at every turn because you're only doing it because you want to and you think that you can, which is why the game calls you an idiot and an asshole for it. Whereas in this case, it's like, this game doesn't even have dialogue trees. You have no control over what happens. You just go through the motions, and the game will still kind of be like, kind of a dick move for you to be doing that. It's like, yeah, well, I'm not Kratos. I do not control the speed at which Kratos murders.
I can a little bit. It depends on how good at the game I am.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this just kind of depends on your taste in video games. Like, you know, if you like it when games give you choices, like actual choices, then this probably kind of annoys you. Whereas if you like riding along the backseat in the rolling tragedy of a terrible person's life, every God of War game is fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember a specific discourse around the development and release of God of War 2018 before it came out was that people were basically saying that the story-intensive, narrative-driven, linear, single-player type game was just not marketable anymore. And then they were like, we'll show you. And then they released God of War 2018, and it's a giant success, of course. So
Yeah.
there was even like the belief in this kind of constrained, narrative-heavy game. Of course, it's packed with great gameplay too, but the fact that you can't do, you know, a Skyrim type thing where you can just do kind of whatever you want and go off and ignore the main story.
Yeah.
People thought that this just wasn't even economically viable in terms of the game industry and marketing.
Which is
So
wild.
it's cool that it still is,
Yeah.
because I love
Yeah.
these type of games, and especially like immersive sims, which you
Yeah.
can, you know, you can choose how you navigate all these levels,
Almost
but
there.
you know, like Prey and
Follow me.
BioShock and stuff, these games are just so thick with story and atmosphere
Yeah.
and narrative
Yeah.
storytelling or environmental storytelling and stuff. I love it.
Beginning to enjoy
Yeah.
the vandalism. Pretty soon he'll be
Oh,
laying waste
the
to
game
Botany.
also makes fun of us
Shall we
for playing
continue?
Zelda, breaking
Yep.
Padre, break all the Padre.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a Zelda game. What do you want?
Feels even taller on the inside.
Ooh.
Can't believe
There's
all this is
also
down here.
a Nornir chest to ruin.
Ooh.
Why must they insist on
We
these
do love our
frustrating
loot.
trials?
You would know better than us, brother.
I can't
Gotta
remember
have
the
it.
last time I
Exactly.
visited the North, nor do I wish to try.
I bet that was one of them.
It is funny that now that the party is expanded,
Ah.
Kratos has even less dialogue he needs to say because
Yeah.
everyone else is going to be like, "Oh, another trial? How tedious!" It's like, yeah, boy, you
Yep.
got it.
Oh
True.
no, this is the bell ringing one that I'm terrible at.
Ugh.
That's alright. There's one. And there's two. And then we're gonna sprint over here. And there's three. I think. Yeah, no. I didn't do it fast enough. Not even sure.
One
Oh,
thing that's great about this
That's
game,
what's
if you
happening.
haven't, if you didn't notice when, because I know you guys were looking at and talking a bit about how great the accessibility options were in this game.
Yes.
You can actually like slow down the or increase the time you have for little trials and things like this, puzzles.
Oh, trust me, that setting is turned on right now.
That's good.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes. I just didn't actually solve the puzzle correctly by getting rid of the soundstone first. So that was
Oh, no,
actually
that's
just me
fine.
being bad.
Woo.
That's fine. I just
Alright.
think it's cool. It's,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
important.
There's
is very important.
again, I'll rep Game Maker's Toolkit. He's got a whole set of videos, probably like 7 or 8 in total, about designing around accessibility. 4 videos talking generally about how to work around vision impairment, audio processing, and auditory disabilities, motor disabilities, and then cognitive impairments and difficulty in video games, and then going through rundowns of how each of the games in 2019, 2020, 21, 2022, not yet, do. And a lot of that stuff has become very mainstream in some of the years since those videos have come out. So they're finding their audience in the developers who make these games. It's very cool to see, especially among the Sony studios, just really going so hard on that kind of accessibility.
Yeah.
Really love to see it.
Yeah.
In the same vein, once again, shouts to the Pentiment team for doing a really phenomenal job with like their accessibility options, including Big Head mode. Our favorite Big Head mode is the
course.
most important. The most important accessibility option.
How else will I see Kratos' every grimace?
It's a shame that we don't have the cow suit anymore.
Yeah.
That's part of God of War 1.
True.
Yeah.
Where are you? There you are.
I know
Ow.
in God of War 2018 in New Game Plus there was a suit of armor available, and I don't ever went with the on New Game Plus one, so there might have been even more goofy armor sets available. But you could get the COD of War set, and it was
Yes.
fish mail.
Oh wow.
All right.
Look, it is a perfect joke.
Game Maker's Toolkit
amazing.
accessibility playlist in chat.
Amazing.
Nice.
Did that hit someone? That did hit someone. Yes. I feel so cool when I do that just randomly. Over the head, was not paying attention, still got someone with the... Ow. Dang it. And we'll block that. If I could be good at aiming. Ooh. Ooh, I split that person in two by throwing my axe off an object. Ooh.
Yoicks.
That's crunchy. More violence. Look, I think the fish mail should be in every. Chad is saying the cow suit should be in every God of War. I think we need more goofy armor. Just in
Oh
general.
yeah.
Just in
Absolutely.
general.
Yeah, I love it.
Later than I remember.
It's probably bad for the self-seriousness of the video game's narrative, but who cares about that?
It's more
give us
fun when
games.
video games let you, do the silly thing.
Yes. Okay. Where are we off to next? I think continuing to climb.
Probably.
That's most of what we do. Alright, Ailey, have a good night, my friend.
Yes.
And to anyone else who's having to bail for sleep and self-care reasons, you know, we encourage that.
Shaw.
Think there's any way to stop the elves from
I know, right?
It's worth getting into a side conversation about getting the good ending in Dishonored, because I saw a couple people talking about that in chat, and it is a very interesting point, but it's
Oh?
probably not relevant.
Well, I mean,
So I'll just acknowledge it and we can move on.
okay.
I mean, I think right now, it's mostly not relevant because we're finally getting back to mythology stuff.
We're getting
because
into
they're
it.
talking about Freya,
Yeah.
who, if you watch Jackson Crawford stuff, you'll know will be called Freyr in the extremely early period, reflecting a early 10th century sound change.
No.
I have strong feelings on pronunciation.
Can someone
Yeah.
remind me when the Great Vowel Shift happened? Because I know it did, but I always forget when.
That's 16th century.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's later than I thought. It's always later than I thought.
Yeah. I didn't watch Crawford's video with IGN on
I have
Ragnarok
not watched
because-
any of them.
Yeah, because it's I watched his other ones for the trailer for God of War Ragnarok and then for God of War 2018, which were released a few weeks apart. And they did not send this man a more professional camera, so he's just on a webcam for an IGN video.
It's extremely
Oh, boy.
funny. They did that with Outman too for the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok one, where he's just
Oh, I didn't see that.
he was just on his webcam, on his 720p built-in laptop webcam,
Ouch.
Yep,
and
we love that.
exactly
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Multi-million-dollar media, video game, and popular culture media organizations, but can't send, just a dude with a camera.
exactly. I mean, also though, Outman doesn't make videos on the internet for a living. Jackson Crawford.
Yeah, that's the
does.
other thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about.
But yeah, I haven't watched any of those because, well, obviously I don't want to get super spoiled on this for the sake of the playthrough.
Yeah,
But that is
I didn't
very funny.
watch the one.
He's done 4 of them. He's done so many with IGN. And
Yeah.
it's very funny that he is self-avowedly someone who doesn't care about modern media. Right?
I know.
He's a philologist specializing in the 10th century.
He's the guy who made the cowboy Halvamal, for God's sakes.
Exactly. But no, he's just. Well, it turns out when you're just here, have a lot of cash. Suddenly he starts caring about video games.
It is
Yeah.
a very funny irony that, what's the irony? I fully forgot my train of thought. That's ironic. I started out so confidently. No, that good content with experts reacting to media, when it does more than just someone lazily looks at the first 30 minutes of a movie and it's well, you can see here there's this thing, and then they just stop. That when it does more than that, people like us who are playing this game and trying to have kind of reacting as things happen can't watch it because we know it's good and we know it will be thorough, so it's ah, damn it.
Exactly.
I mean, we've all seen when someone very lazily slaps together an expert reacts to the first 22 seconds of this game because I didn't want to spend more time playing through it. It's I see your ass.
Yep. I will say the best experts reacts to are clearly Rolka Ninendikes.
Facing the wrong
Insider ones that are various movies doing war scenes,
Oh boy.
because Rolka Ninendike is is an extremely nice person and an extremely good academic who specializes in Greek warfare, and I know him indirectly through online communities, and is just very cool, and we highly recommend. He's got a third one in the works, I think.
Fun.
Yeah.
I also have to recommend the Rachel Maxey video, Watching the Mummy with an Actual Egyptologist.
True.
Yes.
That is an absolute party. They watch the whole movie. They translate all the hieroglyphs. And the lady, the Egyptologist she's watching the movie with, is the person I wish I was in terms of clear career goals and just being the platonic ideal of an extremely cool Egyptologist person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am a very big fan, shocking, of that type of media. Especially, when the media in question is good.
Yeah.
The Mummy is
Yeah.
good. Even from a historical perspective, the mummy is almost distressingly good.
It's like the Jurassic Park of
What's wrong?
Egyptology.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Not 100% accurate, but so full of love and passion that it definitely inspired a lot of people to take it up as a career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, hot
She is
people.
at peace, Atreus.
Oh yeah, yeah, just the hottest people.
And father went inside the light.
We rewatched The Mummy for
Inside the
Halloween.
light of Alfheim?
Perfect.
It's so good.
Great.
It's such a good movie.
Sound mind and decided
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It was one of those movies that was always on during daytime TV when I was sick. It was like always like that.
Ah,
Perennial sick watching
Didn't
movie.
feel like moments
course.
to me.
I was trapped.
It even has bad sequels like Jurassic Park. Let's get out there.
I like the second one. It's
You
pretty
didn't
good.
have to hurt us this way.
Well then.
Then they bring back my boy Ardeth Bay, and they
True.
actually let him have a name this time.
True. They remembered to name him.
So, did you ever meet Groa?
Oh yeah, by the way, we're theoretically talking about important people again.
But she was played
Right, we
by
mentioned Tyr
Constance.
and how Tyr is a Lord of the Elves, who they had to explain as showing up here and then immediately fucking off again.
Huh.
Freya, you mean?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
names are hard.
Yeah.
But yes,
They're all something with an R at the end.
Freyr being a Lord of the Elves and therefore probably a very significant figure in Scandinavian practice. I guess explained as he shows up from Vanaheim, he solves the problem briefly, Freya marries Odin, he gets mad and he fucks off and leaves them to their devices, hence the
Whee!
ongoing war. We also get the mention that they had just said that Groa is the CRS in Villisau.
Wait, didn't Kratos do exactly this last time?
Yeah,
Yes.
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
They've also got the Life theme playing right now, which is
Oh,
extremely
that's
nice.
cute.
It's
Yeah.
the da, na, na, na. We can't hear it because we don't have the
Yeah.
audio, but Jack can hear it.
Exactly. It's fine.
Oh, boy. Just keeps putting the hand back up.
By the way, the lighting on Kratos here, just magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a walking corpse.
Yeah,
I swear they fuck up his skin more every game.
he's getting old.
Fetch the moisturizer, boy.
I do. It looks like they really did individually model the movements of every armor set.
Yeah.
Because the way the shoulders, those shoulder plates are articulated.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have to do that, but they did.
But they did.
We're almost there. Huh. They've changed some stuff. Last time.
Amazing.
saw this high
Exactly. Memories of Mother, your favorite life motive? Exactly. This game soundtrack is straight bangers. That might be the most banger.
thought all the dark ones were.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. And now they're explicitly saying, by the way,
Did we help the wrong side?
who's the right side?
Are you certain that's the right question?
I thought the scary bug people were the bad guys.
The right question.
Is there a right side?
Also, these two
Exactly.
share a brain cell, and it's
do you
actually a
think,
really
Atreus?
nice
Is
way
there a
of
right
talking
side in
about
this
how
world?
they're
I
both
don't know.
right. The fact that they're
perhaps you
both
should
gods of
pick
war,
Yeah.
they
Handshake meme.
actually are thinking on the same lines and
Yeah.
pondering the same questions and coming to very different answers about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I do like that they're both war gods, so they probably both know on an intrinsic level that most wars don't have a right side.
Yeah.
Whereas, Atreus, Loki, whatever he's a god of, it ain't war.
God
It
of
ain't
shenanigans.
structured conflict.
God of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, who's ready for
There
more
it is.
plot?
You all made it.
Me.
AKA the part where they say the Poetic Edda is just lying to us.
God damn it.
Snorri? No, that's the prose, sorry.
Yeah, poetic is unknown author,
till you see
right?
this.
Possibly several unknown authors.
Yeah, anonymous.
Yeah.
Right. This poem is composed in the late Villisbau, composed in the late 10th century, probably in the court of Sigurd the Jarl, by an unknown poet.
Ugh.
Huh. Gets written down in the 1270s by a different unknown scribe.
Yes.
But yeah,
Up Groa's search for her missing husband.
right.
All right, let's.
She was relentless in her
You want to
attempt
let the
to
scene
find
play
him.
out?
Yeah,
think
let's do
so.
it.
For weeks on end. Unfortunately, she found something else. A vision of Ragnarok.
Word of Groa's vision reached Odin. He sought her out, demanded a private retelling.
Didn't like what he heard, apparently.
Ironwood? That's the...
Hjordvidr, by the way. The runes there
The
are
mythical
Ironwood again.
sanctuary for giants.
Ah.
Curious.
So it's in your
Also,
mind?
it's a real place.
some
It's in
giants
Finland,
thought so.
according
That's-
to the
Well,
poets.
lad, it's a concept, a metaphor.
Sorry, that's the. I don't know what that is. Good work, Atreus.
Yep.
Great lying.
While her soul found peace in the
Top
light.
tier stuff.
Difficult to imagine.
And
Odin
it's so
respecting
full of
those
wolves.
Also, who...
wishes. Champion?
Oh,
it's supposed
that's what
to
it
be-
is. Sakapi, the champion.
You assume too much.
Or
Aye.
Saukapi,
Best not to
I
read
suppose,
these
in
abstractions
modern
so
Icelandic.
literally.
Yeah.
Prophecies are slippery.
I
right?
think that's supposed to be me. Well, he's awfully skinny.
Although some are
True.
more obvious than others.
I...
Kratos. Doing too much.
The end of everything.
Yep.
So this is
Uh,
it.
Thor
There's
and
nothing we can do to
Jörmungandr.
stop it.
There must be a way. Why else is this hidden?
Look, here. This is what we saw.
And notably not labeled.
Fighting in Ragnarok.
Right? There's no runic labels on this figure.
I can't.
What's this?
Given the
then?
horn, I think that's Heimdallr.
That's new.
That would make the most sense, but they are talking about this being Loki.
Well, the guy with the spear and the horn they say is Tyr, but
Oh.
the
He's not
horn
labeled.
is Jarlathornith, which is Heimdallr. So,
Was that
Like
supposed to be
the other
Surtur
realms
breaking the realm of Asgard?
I think so.
Big guy
Yeah.
with sword.
Big guy with sword
Yeah.
doesn't have a lot of choices, does it?
Oh, so all we destroy is Asgard. See, that's fine.
In other words, Völuspá, our most significant cosmological poem, is just lying.
Hey.
Of course she did.
Now, to be fair, it does say, right, that there is a world after Ragnarok, and the survivors will gather at Iðavötlir again. But, you know, this is what they're ultimately doing, is they're just saying, yeah, the mythological corpus is lying and or omitting stuff that we can work in.
Well, I suppose if that weren't the case, we would just be, you know, going through the motions. Also, Kratos pointing out, like, we weren't in any of that. What are you talking about?
True.
First time.
I do think this
we
is
know
fascinating.
something
I talked
Odin
about this before in a couple other places,
We
but
just
the
saw
idea
it,
that
right?
not only are characters working off of asymmetric information, but the mythological corpus as we understand it is recognized in this story, i.e. like the original Völuspá, as what Odin is working off of. But the game is like, look, that's not the rules that we're bound to here,
Yeah.
so we can't actually play a little bit. And then you create both kinds of dramatic irony, because you have what Odin thinks he knows versus what the other characters know, and then what we as an audience might know that no one on the stage, so to speak, knows.
Yes. You know, that's a good way of summarizing it. Also, right, as we talked about last week, that's not inherently an issue because, right, this is a body of work that is a very small fraction of a very large body of belief. And so there is lots of room for contradicting narratives. It's just,
Right.
it's so different from what they were doing in the previous game that it becomes notable. Also, what does Sindri have to say?
What'd you see?
A lot. Groa lied to Odin. Ragnarok isn't the end of everything.
Uh-huh.
It's just the end of Asgard.
Just the destruction of an entire
Nearly
realm.
the destruction of the entire realm.
To say nothing of the season. It's wild
Thank you,
work.
Tyr.
Those ignorant and innocent of Odin's misdeeds.
Enough. There's much to discuss once we are safe at home.
I am curious how much they'll go with the idea that, you know, there can be innocence in Ausgarder to Odin and Thor's
You believe in fate,
genocides.
Sindri?
Oh, of course not. You think I'd watch
Is that
Right.
just me, or is there something
What I do is
fundamentally
no matter.
annoying about pacifist characters in fighting-based media? Like,
Yeah.
a fighting game, a superhero show, it's always the character who's like, I abhor violence, I think it sucks. It's like, get out of here, you buzzkill, wrong genre for that shit.
Yeah, Right, because, I mean, I'm a little bit dubious on that, as Liz in the Dark said. Okay, they're complicit though, right? I mean, having someone legitimately argue that, given that this is that's also, you know, the traditional narrative presented by the German citizenry in 1945, right, is not to Godwin's Law, but to Godwin's Law a little bit, right? You have to be aware that that is a narrative that's been argued for historical cases of genocide. Of most people were unaware, and so you should only try the big head honchos and do violence on them.
Yeah, something good German. Anyway,
Yes.
I think the more relevant thing here is that Kratos doesn't give a fuck about innocent casualties.
True. That's
If they
fair.
unleash Kratos
Oh.
in Asgard, this is gonna be like the old games. What's up? I heard an ope.
Oh no, I just said yep.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's what you heard.
My bad.
Runic attacks, don't actually care about those. Let's upgrade this one instead.
Huh. That might be my
Yeah,
best
we're being
piece yet
responsible and upgrading things, so that we don't die horribly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to? I have the section of Groa
Ooh, do it.
pulled up in Skaldskaparmal.
Ooh.
Let's...
So Groa is not explicitly ever connected to the unnamed Ceres, who is presumably, or interpreted rather by many scholars, to be the person who's pronouncing Volaspal, the source for Ragnarok, the poetic source for Ragnarok. But rather in Skaldskaparmal, it is discussing, you know, these mythological origins and explanations for kennings, these devices, poetic devices in skaldic poetry. So it's explaining the story of Thor and his duel with Hrungnir, after which he wins, he kills Hrungnir, but a chunk of Hrungnir's whetstone that he was using as a weapon ends up embedded in Thor's skull. And so it says, when Thor returned home to Thrudvangur, and the whetstone remained stuck in his head, then the seeress called Groa arrived, the wife of Arvandil the Bold. She sang her spells over Thor until the whetstone began to loosen. When Thor felt that, he expected the whetstone would be soon removed. Wanting to please and reward Groa for her healing, he told the story of his return from the north and how he had waded across the river Elivagar, carrying Arvandil southwards from Giantland on his back in a basket. He recounted that one of Arvandil's toes had stuck out from the basket and had frozen. Thor broke it off and threw it up into the heavens as a token, making from it the star called Arvandil's toe. Thor added that it would not be long before Arvandil returned home, and then Groa became so happy that she couldn't remember any of her magic, and the whetstone got no looser but remained lodged in Thor's head. And it is offered as a warning that one should not throw a whetstone across the floor, because then the whetstone in Thor's head moves.
Oh boy. The kind of moral we all really needed.
Exactly. It's probably more important in a world where, you know, there still is, like, blades around, usually, and not as collector pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, in this they're also attaching Groa. They're combining Groa with the unnamed Völva, who pronounces, or is, like I said, interpreted to pronounce. Some people also read it as Odin, telling the prophecy of Ragnarok.
Right.
Huh.
In certain sections, at least.
Yeah. We're just gonna freeze you real quick. Oh, well, bye. That was a bit brutal.
Yeet.
As we're working our way back
Yes.
towards where we came, I think it will be my time to bounce as we make our way out from Alfheim. I don't want to have any sway on when the stream ends. This is
Sounds good.
just me kind of like venting my my expectations of what's gonna, not venting, but voicing my expectations of what's gonna happen approximately when.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, when we get through Alfheim, I also might need to scooch. I kind of need to eat food at some point today.
That's reasonable. I think when we finish Alfheim, at least this stage of Alfheim is going to be a good place to call the day anyway, because that's
Fantastic.
that's a good narrative start ending point.
Yeah.
So, right, I think we're in the last sequence here of, like, what, 20 more minutes of...
Maybe you can throw those back at him.
Excuse me?
Maybe, yeah.
There's an enemy here that's immortal.
Oh, yeah.
Mysterious.
Mysterious. Hitboxes are hard. Okay. But yes,
Cool.
I think we are having very great success and only somewhat, you know, murdering the entire population of this realm on the way down.
Yeah, I think that at least when Kratos does it, you don't get the impression that he's going to be really, really sad about it later, you know?
No.
Everyone else here is like, oh, we just have no choice but to keep murdering people. What a bummer. And Kratos,
Kratos
is
is just like,
"Nah."
let me do my job. My job is
Would you
murder
all
people.
quit friggin' whining?
I have one job, and it is violence.
Chat was asking if we have any way of knowing what specific star that Arvandil's toe might be, like if we can identify it.
I don't know.
To which the answer is no, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been identified.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I'm not aware of any other text saying,
No.
right, using the name Ironwood's toe.
Yeah, and in terms of, sadly, like, despite all of the astrological, like, star lore that we have from cultures all over the world, there's basically no Norse astrological texts or sources at all. There's a scholar named Gisli Sigurdsson who has loosely interpreted the Snorri's kind of outlining of the cosmology around the world tree, and has like argued like that the branches of the world tree that you can see in the night sky would be like the Milky Way.
Of course, yeah.
So this is like an interesting interpretive argument, but it's not like a specific map of what the Viking Age or medieval Norse people would have named the stars and what kind of stories they associated with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you could also wonder if the Milky Way would have been more of a Jormungandr situation, you know, big snake encircling the entire world.
Yeah.
You see it. And
Equally valid interpretation.
that's the problem. Like, some places were nice about documenting what stars and constellations were what, and a lot of them weren't. And fortunately, ancient Greece has a lot of different astronomy texts, a lot of them with the myths.
Bunch of
Norse,
nerds.
Norse doesn't. I mean, you know, we're lucky to have 2 Eddas as it is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very unfortunate, but what can you do?
Yep.
Right? Well, we don't have a time machine. I don't think we'll ever get a time machine.
No, yeah,
So-
once the information's lost, it's lost, and, you know, after a certain point, you know, persisting and trying to find the information just turns into, you know, conspiracy boarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we love a good conspiracy board.
We do, but the problem is taking them very, very seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think one thing that people sometimes miss about specifically the kind of deity deep dive videos that Red does is that the point of the conspiracy boards is not to tell you how it actually happened, but to quantify how much we don't know how it actually happened. So to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's fun to find patterns, but like we were just earlier in the stream talking about the whole like Proto-Indo-European, you know, pattern recognizing across linguistics, and then turning that into theoretical, theoretical pantheons. And it's just like, there's something there, but, you know, you read farther into it than we have the information for, and you start just filling in the blanks with things you make up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is
I won't.
good speculation as long as we lampshade it as speculation.
I don't want to fight.
Right? Scholars have to make a living
There is no
somehow.
avoiding it. This path leads to
Yep.
countless deaths.
It's either dating
pain and
manuscripts
suffering.
or speculating about religious traditions. And that's fine
Yeah.
and expected. We just have groundings in actual available evidence rather than
Yep.
full invention. Ooh.
Here we have something interesting where Someone cuts off their own hand in the vicinity of Tyr. That's probably something.
I don't think that was their own leg, but yes.
That was actually
Oh,
pretty
like-
cool.
Yeah,
Good job, Kratos.
yeah.
Boy acquired.
Boy has been acquired, and I think they did this purely to get this shot for the trailer. TBH.
Yeah.
Cause,
Yeah, maybe.
right, either
Yes.
they're hiding an extended loading sequence in here, or right,
This
they
does
do
seem
it
remarkably unnecessary.
specifically for this shot. Because that was in the trailer, and we were all like, "Why is Tyr holding the Blades of Chaos?" And it turns out this is why he is holding the Blades of Chaos.
Literally the handshake meme. Good work, team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was cool that we got a longer explanation of Tyr being like, "You made me kill this elf, you bastards."
Hey, we didn't make you do shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where else they go with Tyr's character now that he's like, "Okay, fuck you guys."
Exactly. We have now managed to annoy everybody.
The problem is Tyr is such a good foil for Kratos in the I will deny my nature as a war god, whereas Kratos is like, Slayer's gotta slay. But like, that makes it seem like maybe they're not gonna let Tyr go beast mode, and that bums me out.
No.
I'll be curious because I think there's a lot of game left. I don't know
yeah,
how
for
long
sure.
the game actually is. I know
longer.
I've been seeing like 30 hours ish. We are playing very slowly. As
Yeah.
I've tell people in the Pentiment streams, we are doing whatever the precise opposite of a speedrun is around here.
Oh god, 100% completion.
But you can still speedrun that, right? There are 100% speedruns, so those two aren't mutually exclusive.
Sheesh.
Speedruns just
Playing
normally
discussion percent.
exactly.
Do the right thing.
Speedruns don't normally involve staring at a wall for 3 hours while talking about what's on the wall.
War will not
Yeah.
achieve the purpose you seek, Atreus.
What I do like about this game compared to God of War 1 was in God of War 1 we went to Alfheim because we needed a flashlight during God of War
Yeah.
2018. And everything that happened was cool, but we went there because we needed a flashlight. In this game, we go to Alfheim for lore reasons that deepen what's going on between the characters in an interesting way that would not have happened had we not gone to Alfheim. So I'm already liking a lot of what they're doing in terms
Yeah.
of the narrative density here, because like the finding out that Tyr's alive, going to get Tyr, going on a quest with Tyr, that's already more plot than God of War 2018 had.
Yep.
Yep.
God of
Yeah.
War 2018 was we're trying to get from point A to point B, and shit's making that complicated. Like that, the core plot does not need to be complicated. The core plot can be as simple as need be, as long as the execution is good. But yeah, this game has a lot more going on. I'm just kind of waiting for it to reach the emotional impact level that God of War did with Atreus getting sick and with the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah.
Because
I
Yeah.
think
That was-
when people think about the story of God of War 1, they extrapolate that moment to the entire game because honestly, yes, that's what I did.
yeah, that's the, the emotional darkest hour / the most powerful moment in the game. And it was really powerful. It was incredible payoff for the previous games. I'm just waiting for this game to do something similar on that level.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll get there eventually. There's 35 more hours to go?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, shout out to the previous game where we were fighting bug people Dark Elves. And now we actually get to quickly see them. Well, find the way through their homeland.
Hooray!
Hooray! I'm sure this is fine. I won't have any negative repercussions. Wow. That guy forgot he had wings.
Ha.
Don't you hate when that happens? You just get
Yes.
knocked off a cliff and forget you have wings.
Guess I'll die.
Yeah. Somewhat redo. Frankly, unnecessary amounts of violence, but that's okay.
That's the name of the game, baby.
Exactly.
It's not called God of Negotiations.
True.
God Simulator.
Yep. We... Also, yeah, there's a big old assault happening here in this desert where... There's big zappy booms and there's intense music and we're running away.
Yay!
This makes 2 realms in a row that we've had this be the final moment. Right, after, instead of boss and then you immediately go quiet, is you get the big plot points, and then there's an escape sequence, and then it gets quiet.
No denouement for you.
Exactly. Also, though, compared to God of War 2018, we are spending way less time in Asgard, or sorry, in Alfheim.
Yeah,
And
there
we
was
are
an awful
doing
lot
a
of just
lot
trekking.
more with it,
Yeah.
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 which is impressive.
Yeah, this game is denser for sure.
I mean, with the game engine already made, a lot of these environments already, concepted out. You have the combat engine, the base already there. Obviously, they laid out a lot more complexity in this game. 4 years of development time allows you to put a lot of narrative and mechanical density in what's already there. Even if this is a realm we've already been to, it's like, okay, what do they do with that 5 years? A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
I mean,
they did not wait. They did not waste that development time.
No, yeah, it's
Even though
just
the-
important to remember how much kind of filler they had to put in God of War 2018, like the 20 troll bosses, because they just literally ran out of time while trying to basically create a new game from scratch. Because
Yeah.
the setting is totally different. All the everything is upscaled now. It looks much different visually. It plays different than the previous God of War game. So it's effectively just a new franchise, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like you said, this time they had that already ready, and they had just 4 years to just focus on telling a really good story.
It's remarkable how this game makes God of War 2018 look weak.
I mean,
I know.
all these complaints that we have were, just as true at the time. It was just also, that was the first time we'd ever seen God of War do something, like that.
Yeah.
None of us were sure that it was going to make the transition to the serious Harry Dad escort quest genre seamlessly, and then it did. Everyone and their grandmother was like, "Oh, that kid's dying for sure," because we still thought it was going to be all about Kratos. Which is why nobody was really anticipating the whole, they called me Loki, it's weird. How many times is Kratos gonna fucking drop out of things in this entire sequence?
Yes.
This is 3 so far.
This is 3 bridges in a row that they've been like, we don't need to do that badly.
Some Aquaman
Yeah.
shit right there. Anyway, this game feels better. It still feels like it has some of the weaknesses of God of War 4, I guess. God of 4. Because, there is still an awful lot of, button mash to progress from point A to point B. Which is, I guess technically that's the point of a game, is that you play it and stuff happens.
Wow,
But,
no, that sounds
yeah.
Just
Sounds like a conspiracy.
exactly.
It kind of feels like this doesn't really feel like a game where you're building towards things. It feels like a game that is throwing obstacles at you to make it longer, which is definitely a thing that God of War 4 had to a much greater extent, where it was literally, I'm just trying to climb this fucking mountain, stop putting things in the way, and then it was like,
Yeah.
oopsies, different mountain. So, yeah, but anyway,
Exactly.
yeah.
Which was not to say God of War is a bad game.
No.
Let's all
not
be
at all.
very clear on this, is that God
Yeah.
of War
Yeah.
2018 is one of the greatest video games of all time. It's
Yeah.
just that
That
We are
this
far
game
enough
is so good.
Yeah, but also,
are
like,
far
nothing is
enough away that
flawless, and it's,
yeah,
yeah.
we can actually critique it honestly. Also,
Right.
Tier, can we leave now? Yes. Maybe.
I've been playing too much Breath of the Wild. When I saw the rain particle effects, I was like, oh no, we're not going to be able to climb.
Oh boy. Luckily, we
Open the
can.
gateway.
And, open the gateway? Fine.
And every time you go near a ledge, I'm like, and then you'll just paraglide down. Ah, fuck. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Alright. And Tier has a poetic
You
moment.
want war?
Ugh.
See for yourself the legacy this one has left for the Barons. I've had far more than I can stomach.
Well, Tier has bailed on the grounds of
All right.
we are jerks, and I think that means it's about time for us to bail too.
Yay.
Yay!
Okay.
We're gonna
Right
go
on.
explore. We're gonna go explore the over off in the distance on the Havguva, the other giant whale that's stuck in the desert.
The what?
What?
How'd it get there?
But they reference in a lore marker. let's pull it up. One of the lore markers we got earlier, they specifically say the majestic Havguva, which is a giant whale. It's the partner of the Lingbacher.
Yeah.
So they have sand whales in this video game, and we're gonna go explore them and many other things next week. Same time, same channel, all that jazz.
Yay!
Yeah. As we start wrapping up,
Awesome.
Luca, do you have any final thoughts as our guest expert? Any grand wisdom you wish to share with the audience?
I don't know about all that, but I have played ahead, like I've mentioned a couple of times, and I'm really excited to see what they do with the rest of the game. I'm still probably not halfway through. I've lost a lot of time playing to play these past week. I haven't had much time, but they do a lot of interesting things. There's an interesting video for that came out after the first after 2018's God of War that was like how they rewrote Norse mythology without Loki, because Atreus is Loki and he's not there while all of these things are going on. And they're just sort of diving down that rabbit hole about how they've turned it upside down, and they're like with this revelation about Groa's secret double prophecy and this kind of stuff in the Jötnar shrine. So they're having fun, and I like that, rather than kind of we have to stick to these texts that themselves are just bizarre farces that were stitched together by political operators in the 13th century. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that they're being super playful with it, and I am excited to see what's going on. Position Historian wants a joy check. From the Assassin's Creed Valhalla streams, we had insanity checks. How's everyone's sanity and or joy doing?
Pretty good.
I'm both sane and happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This game is great.
Turns out this game's good.
To my point earlier, like the fact that God of War 2018 like won Game of the Year and with so many people's like, holy shit, this game is so good, and this game we're like, wait, but this is also so much better. Like, wow.
Yeah.
They're really, bringing their A game, and even, the places that were being so nitpicky of like, oh, they really waded into some real unfortunate associations here is, couched within the broader discussion of they're actually doing really interesting things with this world and the setting, and these like fully side plot lines that do not actually have any bearing on the actual Ragnarok going on, that they still put in all this effort to characterize them is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And
What I'll tell you is that it is much harder to criticize something that's bad because it's all bad. It's like, is there even a point in pointing out specific problems because there's so much? When we can immediately key into like, oh, this specific thing is a little bit like, this is kind of dragging down the pacing, or if you look at this from a meta perspective, it's just kind of adding, time to the total time of the game. Like, that's a sign that everything else is pretty much rock solid, because we can immediately click into something that's like not quite working for us. Whereas, when you're watching like a really bad movie, it's like, is there even a fucking point to pointing out that there was, a blatant continuity error between cuts, when that's like, like not even in the top 20 worst things that have happened in the last 5 minutes?
100%. If you want to see that experience with the Viking video game chat, December 6th, the final DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla drops. Guess what we'll be playing on this channel?
Yeah, boy.
Oh god.
Oh boy. So put that in your calendars. It's all on the stream schedule down below. But yeah, once again, thank you to Luca and to OSP for joining us today. It is a blast as always.
Of course.
We'll be back with more God of War Ragnarok, the same time, same place, 1 week from today. This time with Lynn Schoenbeck, an Iron Age archaeologist and PhD candidate at the University of Edinburgh.
So cool.
It's so cool. She is so fun. But we do stream during the week as well, so if you haven't, make sure you are followed and consider subscribing to help make this possible. The rest of the week we'll be playing Pentiment. Surprising nobody, because I've been playing 0 other video games than Pentiment. So, do be...
As is right and just.
It is perfect. My boy Andreas is perfect. And those kids are the cutest children I have ever seen in a video game. They're so cute. If you haven't watched the VOD, go watch them, because they're the cutest kids and they stole my hat. And I love them for it. But yes,
Beautiful.
otherwise, we will see next time we see you all. But I hope you all enjoyed this stream of God of War Ragnarok. Until then, have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye, chat.
Bye.
Bye.